Warning, the following program contains sensitive material that may be unsettling to some audiences. The Pedantic Pedestrians are not responsible for any injuries or paranormal activity that may occur during the viewing of this program, including, and not limited to, whiplash, bipolar disorder, a sprained ankle, or demonic possession. Viewer discretion is advised.
Two Guns, do you want to, encourage people to respect the host? So funny, Chad.
When you see people laughing. Nah, like, pause it. What did he say? Whenever, it sounds like he said...
We're live?
We are.
We're live, motherfucker.
Okay. Yes. I'm planning on streaming much longer than I usually do tonight. I'm sorry that I missed, or I'm pretty tardy and everything. I missed last stream because, well, Shabisky has poor executive functioning, and Shab always makes things hard. So I have to deal with Shab, so it's all his fault that the stream's been delayed nonstop.
It was an accident.
But Shab's also been very distraught that one of his heroes, Charlie Kirk, has
his favorite
unfortunately
commentator.
passed. Yeah, Shab had a lot in common with him in terms of Shab's views, his beliefs, his principles. So,
and I think we
Shab,
looked a lot of likes.
Yeah, do you want to tell everyone what were some of the qualities of Charlie Kirk that you really enjoyed, that you really admired?
I like that he... I like that he always had a perfect argument. I love that he was an intellectual and he stood for what was right in this world.
He did the Steven Crowder approach of going to universities and arguing against a bunch of young college kids.
You know how many pink-haired chicks he's changed? Okay? He's
definitely got through to all of them.
He's converted them over to the right side, the correct side, which is the right side. You understand that, right? He's a hero.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's...
Nothing about his actions brought this on him at all.
Let's get... No. You can't endorse violence in any way.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know.
He's not
you're
a black child.
Advocating for a terrorist if you do so.
Yeah.
In the US, after
a civil rights activist,
Charlie Kirk was shot dead while addressing students on
He wasn't an 8-year-old at school, so we're not allowed to joke about him.
Well, I do think it is distasteful how he is getting all of this attention, or his death is generating all of this sort of media sort of coverage when...
I'd rather just ignore it.
Well, whenever anybody dies... you could make the argument, or any public figure, like, oh, why are we making a big deal about their death? People die all the time. But it is pretty fucked up that in America, you have lots of people who die due to police brutality, school shootings, and we don't really seem to make a big deal about that. And also in Israel, we got genocide going on.
conservatives who hated not just Charlie Kirk, but people who spew similar bullshit. So it's very normal to. Oh, where are we having audio issues?
I fixed
No,
it.
Huh?
we hear you.
There was an audio issue for a second. I fixed it.
Gotcha.
We'll
But
go
yeah,
ahead.
the short version. I don't like the idea of after Charlie Kirk's death, in the celebrating of it, people making their normie right-wing friends and family members feel like they're just the same as Charlie Kirk, because that wouldn't be fair.
What about the people going around saying, I am Charlie Kirk?
See, those people, yes, insult them, treat them like shit.
They are, but that's why would you treat Charlie Kirk like shit? Why are you gonna be mean to Charlie Kirk?
Checkmate, libtard.
The university event that Charlie Kirk has done, on the road to becoming one of President Trump's most prominent supporters. But soon after he took to the stage, this.
Wouldn't be a bad move, Skabibi.
Oh, and I know he does these live, so apparently you saw his blood paint the scenery live, and I know a lot of people
Yeah,
aren't
I have
going to
multiple angles
unsee
of it.
I
that.
saw the video.
Yeah.
I've seen plenty of people get shot. I've seen way more brutal shit than that, though. I do feel bad. Like, regardless of your politics, if you'd never seen somebody get shot before and that was the first time, I feel bad.
Slumps to the floor, blood pouring from his neck. Panic on the Utah campus, a scramble for safety.
I was watching from pretty close up, and I heard a pop, and I thought, no, that.
I will say it's different when you see it in person instead of on video, though.
This is the middle
I
of
think
the day.
that's what makes it easier for me.
A fountain of blood come out of the side of his neck like a water fountain, and it was surreal.
President Trump soon
One
posted
thing
this
that,
message on social.
One thing that Danny's kept bringing up is the poor guy who was talking to him and asking that question when it happened. Like, there was probably not one person in that crowd who had more of like having eye contact with the dude while he was shot had to have been fucking traumatic as fuck.
Yeah,
like, you're just sitting there having that conversation, and then out of nowhere, just boom, that's dead, man.
The really interesting thing about it too is that he got shot while they were having a debate about guns and about mass shootings and how often they happen and stuff. Now, it wasn't a mass shooting because only one person died, but still, it's pretty ironic that they were. Like, it makes me think whether or not the person that shot him was, like, waiting for the right moment. Like, oh, okay, they're talking about guns now. Perfect moment. All right. Like,
If not, it was a strange stroke of fate.
yeah.
Now, how much do you guys know about the killer?
A good bit.
So apparently,
No, I guess.
Initially, there was all this evidence to show like he was a chronic Redditor, and he spent a lot of time on very far right sort of internet like forums and threads communities. And there was like his family is all very right leaning. So people are coming out saying that, oh, he was actually like this super conspiratorial sort of Nick Fuentes, Alex Jones, right leaning sort of person. But then it turned out that no, his views did shift to the left. He did have like a relationship with his trans roommate. So he actually did it out of left-leaning sort of policy or principles. But now people are coming out claiming that, see, this is what the left does. They're all about political violence because, of course, it's black and white. You don't see any like
That's so crazy.
political violence. You don't see any killings from the right. It's only the left.
Yeah, and could you imagine if the black and white way of them thinking was reality? Like, oh yeah, all these leftists just want to kill. It's like, dude, the country would be crazy right now if everybody, all the people on the left were like that guy that assassinated Charlie Kirk. Like, it doesn't make sense to compare him to just the average leftist. The average leftist would not do that. They wouldn't get a sniper and shoot Charlie Kirk because he offends them. They might be pissed off about it. They might even say stupid things like they'd want to silence him or something because they're idiots. But they wouldn't actually, like, most people wouldn't go through with such a crazy act.
Now, Shab, give one example of people on the right engaging in acts of extreme violence.
Like January 6th or whatever it was.
Oh, that's conspiracy. That doesn't count.
Yeah.
Fake news.
There are like mass shootings, like just in 2025 in America, there's been like I think over 220 mass shootings in America so far, and plenty of those people are going to be people on the right and stuff, people that want to just paint it black and white, like, oh, left is bad, people on the right good.
Dylan Roof, the one who shot up that South Carolina, or that black church in South Carolina, and he had your sort of neo-Nazi white supremacist views. Do you think that was a right-wing sort of
no,
killing,
obviously
or a right-wing act of violence?
Obviously leftist. All the leftists
well, he wasn't.
are Nazis.
We're going to do the no true Scotsman fallacy. He wasn't a real right-leaning sort of personality.
Media.
Yeah, so the Johnsons in the chat says nobody on the right wing murdered anyone on January 6th, so that's not a real comparison. Fair enough. I'll throw
people
this
did die.
People died, but no one was explicitly
Yeah, they brought gallows.
They killed a cop.
They definitely intended to kill. They were trying to get to
Yeah,
Congress.
they intended to kill other people too.
Yeah, so it doesn't count because there was an attempt at murder, but they didn't succeed. So I guess attempt at murder doesn't matter.
It was 2 senators that were killed, like 6-7 months ago, and that didn't really get blown out of proportion because I guess that wasn't a useful story to the powers that be. And I'll say this on this Charlie Kirk issue: if you're one of the people who have been worked up into a frenzy, and we're talking they did this, well, they did that. The truth is, you're the victim of the brainwashing at this point. You were the victim of the
go outside
media, which you hate. It is a useful story because they are using it to turn us against each other. When I say us, I mean common American fucking people who normally we can just get along at the fucking workplace or whatever the fuck may be, the gas station, grocery store, passing by saying, "Hey, what's up?" But now everyone's in the seat of their minds, just being like, does this person agree with me?
Well, people
is
are
this person
just
a violent, people are
they're
people,
going down.
And these are when one fucking violent maniac acts out, and you want to turn and look at an entire group of people and say, "Hey, they did this. That's an evil person because they disagree with me." You are the one being brainwashed.
Yeah, when the January 6th riot happened, I watched that unfold with my right-leaning friends. So, none of us got to sit back behind the comfort of the internet and just go, the left did this, the right did that, because if you have an actual social life, you're going to know normies on both sides.
Okay, and here's the thing. In all honesty, most people on the right don't kill. Most people on the left don't kill. If you live in the United States, you're more likely to die of suicide than homicide. I mean, the likelihood of somebody dying of murder in the United States is significantly low. And the likelihood of somebody actually committing murder is also something that is pretty low. So it's like less than 1% of people commit murder throughout their lifetime. So this attitude of, hey, let's look at a sample size of tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people, and let's try to play this stupid team sports, in-group, out-group sort of tribalism. And hey, we're just going to engage in selection bias, exclusively focus on examples of the other side engaging in acts of violence. And see, all the tens of millions of people on the other side are like that because, I'm not going to act like an adult and actually assess things objectively. I'm going to act like a little kid and play the stupid team sports. I have Xbox, you have PlayStation, and that's what it is. It just comes down to this sort of petty, childish sort of tribalism. And it's not about actually caring about any of the politics.
Jot, a great guy from top to bottom. God bless him. 31 years old, one of America's most recognizable conservative activists, whose full-throttled support for Donald Trump has supercharged the MAGA movement. His regular appearances drawing crowds and both support and criticism. Today's event in Utah was part of Charlie Kirk's so-called comeback tour. Eyewitnesses said he was asked about gun crime in the USA.
A student went up there and asked Charlie Kirk a question about how many transgender shooters there had been in U.S. history. Charlie Kirk answered, the student gave him a rebuttal, and then Charlie Kirk goes to pick up the microphone to answer the second question, and that's when the shots went off.
An activist whose voice had been heard far and wide.
So, do you think that's decent rhetoric when you question dodge? I don't think question dodging is what you expect to see if somebody is actually presenting a good argument.
Never finished his sentence.
Right.
Charlie Kirk had been credited with bringing
him
huge
getting
support.
assassinated was just him question dodging. He didn't want to answer the question, did he? That's what it was.
Oh.
You figured it out,
For
Gene.
President Trump.
He did
Cracked the code.
Yes. This is all so he couldn't answer. Didn't have to look like an idiot in front of everybody because he couldn't answer.
A good example of people engaging in that sort of selection bias or selective attention is there's that one shooting, it was like a year ago, where she went to her elementary school and it was a trans person, and then they were trying to associate the shooting with her being trans. And it's just, well, the problem is the overwhelming majority of shooters haven't been trans, and if it's something like 0.5% of the population are trans, it makes sense that 0.5% of shooters would be trans.
Yeah, wouldn't it suck for us if that was actually the logic that got used? Because all four of us are white dudes. None of us are shooting a place up, but if that was the logic we used, the people that do the most shootings got to get treated like terrorists, then
Straight
hey,
white
guess
men.
what we would fall? Yeah, we're all white dudes. I'm not straight, but
white dude.
Don't you love it when the vast majority of Americans don't even understand how statistics work? It's just, this is simple math. This is elementary school level math. And yet they can't comprehend just basic percentages and probability when it comes to assessing how many people within a sample size of tens of millions, hundreds of millions are likely to do something relative to everyone else in the group. And the fact that so many people just can't comprehend that, and they just focus on individual anecdotes that are outliers, and they're not able to see just how illogical that is, it kind of just shows how poorly educated the majority of our population is.
Particularly among young Americans, and it was the president who broke the news of his death. He wrote on social media, "The great, even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you." And we have heard that Charlie Kirk's wife and children were in fact at the university when he was shot.
Okay, well, that sucks. And I know his children are pretty young, so I don't think anyone deserves that.
Earlier today, he was someone who invited everyone onto campus and
or at least I heard this. I don't know how, but that supposedly she wasn't even there, and she just lied and said she was.
Oh.
You know what's really dumb about this is, like, I don't know. There's this big rapper. What's his name? Tom McDonald. He makes a lot of fucking money rapping and stuff. And he did a song about Charlie Kirk. And then at the end, he's like, all funds are going to the family and stuff. And a lot of people are throwing money at GoFundMe's for the family and stuff. And they've raised, like, I don't know. I want to say tens of millions or something. And it's like, why are we raising money for someone who's fucking drowning in money already?
Yeah.
Why are we doing that? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't show.
His wife doesn't seem all that bothered by it, actually.
Yeah, and it does seem like there are so many crowdfunding campaigns towards kids that are dying of terminal illnesses, and it's just, if you're going to donate something like that, it's definitely going to have much more of a profound effect. I mean, his family already are pretty well off, so it's just, he's dead. So the money's not really going to do a whole lot.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid.
Debate.
I'll say this.
Conservatives.
Apparently, and again, it's got to be real hard to break the news to your child that their father is dead. But apparently, she told her child that her father was on a business trip with Jesus so that they could afford their blueberries.
Afford their blueberries.
Okay, that's a odd thing to say. I mean,
The
it's one thing to be
blueberry
like, oh,
thing.
he's in heaven now. It's just regardless of whether you're religious or not, it's whatever. But the blueberries thing, that kind of, I don't know. Is it a
Sure.
metaphor to something?
I don't know. It's definitely maybe to say that we're gonna tell their child, daddy died. We're gonna make a lot of money from it. But she also had someone record a video of her caressing Charlie's corpse at the wake while she wept over it.
Yeah.
Could you imagine, imagine that, Zidane, you're the love of your life dies, and you just you have to hand somebody your phone and be like, record this real quick.
Right. I feel bad for the kids, not his stupid cunt wife.
But you don't think she's got good principles when she married a dude like Charlie Kirk?
I can't say she does, and I think it's while it's sad that the kids have the trauma of their dad dying, at least they don't have to grow up with Charlie Kirk as their dad.
Oh God.
Natalie in the chat, we agree with you. We believe you that she wasn't there. We're kind of improvising this, so
I don't know what to believe.
Yeah.
Of course, for all of us who know him, who knew him, remembered for so many things today. And one of them is his staunch support of Israel. He visited in 2018. I remember. That was the first.
He's clearly on the right side of history there.
That's another thing. I've done a few streams since this happened, and I've had a few crazy fuckers come in and tell me the Jews killed him. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I know he said some things about the Jews, but he did seem to like Israel.
Well, Israel, I mean, they're more like Western in terms of their culture, and you can play the race semantics game. When is somebody white? When are they not white? But I think a lot of people on the far right, one of the reasons why they like being giant shills for Israel is because they like that Western foothold in that part of the world, and they kind of view Jewish citizens in Israel as white. So I think that plays a big role. And I think a lot of them do engage in a lot of cognitive dissonance because a lot of them will be anti-Semitic, but then at the same time, they'll shill for Israel.
It was at the U.S. Embassy.
So on the topic of Charlie Kirk and his relationship with Israel,
That was one of
several days before his death, he was interviewed by, or at least speaking with Ben Shapiro. And he said something to the effect of, well, we question the media on COVID. We question the media on the election. Why don't we question the media on Israel?
Now, the media outside of Fox News don't depict Israel in a positive light. So is that what he means?
Then President Trump's first term decisions. And Charlie was there also the following year, supporting Israel's war against Hamas and against the anti-Semitism that followed. Watch.
When we as Christians go to Israel, we are celebrated and treated like the most amazing you could ever imagine. Okay, Israel changed my life. When I went to Israel, I was reading Bible stories my whole life as a committed Christian. And all of a sudden,
this is my background, Kimberly, my nice comfy bed.
Of Israel.
Sorry, addressing the chat.
God's plan for us on this planet. There's something special about Israel, and I think we have a moral commitment to that land. The Israeli community has been very welcoming of us as Christians and our faith to the homeland.
Okay, and again, I don't give a fuck, when it comes to the IDF, the government of Israel, I don't care what their fucking religion is. I don't care what the religion is of people in Gaza or Palestine.
Israel isn't the Jews as a Borg. And also Israel, Israeli citizens aren't really a Borg with their government either.
And the thing is, war crimes are being committed, so that's the important thing to look at. And the sort of, hey, if you criticize Israel, if you criticize their government, and Israel's a country, so that doesn't equate to a religion, well, you're automatically anti-Semitic, and it's just a way to deflect any sort of criticism.
And It will not go unnoticed. The Israeli Foreign Ministry said this morning Charlie Kirk was a steadfast friend of Israel and a true ally of the Jewish people. He stood proudly for the Judeo-Christian values which bind Israel and America, and Charlie's fearless commitment to truth and freedom cost him his life. Violence may have taken him, but it cannot silence his legacy. May his memory be a blessing.
He was a hero.
The Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, in focus now. Prime Minister, you have your own...
This is how you know Netanyahu is such a altruistic sort of leader, when he sucks the dick of Charlie Kirk.
Memories of Charlie Kirk. Please share them.
Well, Harris, before I do that, I have to say that we're just heartbroken. Myself, my wife.
And when somebody said, okay, so Hamas should release the hostages, we don't condone Hamas. Hamas is out of line, and
we've said plenty of
two wrongs don't make
things.
right.
My family, my son, actually, on his 2019 visit to Israel, had lunch with him and his wife, Erica. We're shattered first as human beings because a great human being has been taken from us. He was an extraordinary friend. He said, he wrote me a letter on May 2nd this year. He said, one of my greatest joys as a Christian is advocating for Israel and forming alliances to defend Judeo-Christian civilization. A few weeks before the tragedy yesterday, I called him and I spoke to him and I said, please come to Israel. I invited him to Israel. And sadly, that visit will not take place. But he was a defender of our common Judeo-Christian civilization. He was unbelievably excited to walk in the footsteps of Jesus here.
Because Israel, they really don't have the power. They don't have the funding. They really don't have the defenses to deal with the threat of Palestine.
Yeah.
Clearly, they're the people that are at risk of being wiped out and annihilated. It's not like they've turned all of Gaza into a fucking crater.
He valued our bond, the bond between America and Israel. He did so many things to defend free speech. He had his truth. He stood up for it. But he said, you can come and debate me. He invited that debate. He certainly didn't invite the violence, the horrible violence that tried to silence him. And, this is a worldwide problem. The people on the extremes, the Islamists, the radical Islamists, and their union with the ultra progressives, they often speak about human rights. They speak about free speech, but they use violence to try to take down their enemies, whether it's President Trump, who's been almost assassinated twice, or they try to kill me here too. But they got Charlie Kirk, and it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, the young
that's another good example. The dude that tried to assassinate Trump, there was evidence to show that he could have easily been on the right or the left. But of course, it's not the evidence that shows that he could have been on the opposing side that matters. It's just the side that you want him to be on because it suits your narrative.
What I want to hear is true.
That's the one that's true. There's no confirmation bias taking place there. And in most cases, when there's an assassination attempt against a president, usually it's apolitical. So if you actually look into pretty much all of the presidential assassination attempts since the 20th century, most of them are because, hey, Jodie Foster was communicating with me through the TV set. Oh, I thought the president was a reptilian. So it very well could be that the person who attempted to assassinate Trump didn't have a political agenda. They could have just been batshit insane, and we don't know. But of course, people don't want to recognize their own ignorance. Knowledge is a justified true belief. They're dead, so we don't know. But hey, it's political football, so it's the information what you want to be true. That's what is true.
Yeah. Real quick, we just passed 2,500 subscribers, 2,500 subscribers. Thank you to everybody subscribing. Also, we have a lot of people here. If you haven't yet, hit the thumbs up button on the stream. You might have to double tap the screen, or in the top right corner of the screen, if you click the 3 dots there, you can give the stream a like. Let's get those likes up, guys. Hit the like button. Helps the stream.
Our countries look.
And for those of you who, again, for whatever reason, think because we disagreed with Charlie Kirk means we celebrate his death, or think that it is in any shape, way, or form a good thing that any of this happened, hang around for a little while and hear us out, because it's not quite the fucking case. I think I'll say this for me. I think it's a all-around bad thing that people should die in any situation like even this specifically. Political violence is bad, and nobody here is singing the praises of the man who killed Charlie Kirk. But for whatever reason, you guys have a lot of assumptions to make about our beliefs. But like I said, hang around for a little while, hear us out.
Yeah, the thing is,
let me clarify something. I might not feel bad about it, but I would rather live in a world where political violence doesn't happen and isn't rewarded, but it is rewarded by this country. So
yeah,
there's nothing rewarding about this except for the fact that Charlie Kirk is now a martyr, and
yeah.
Oh, and someone in the chat said, wow, our ignorance. Ignorance means not knowing. So in the end, when the person is dead and there's evidence to show that they could have been on the left and the right, and because they can't interrogate them and they didn't leave some kind of manifesto showing what their motive was, we can't know. So that's recognizing one's own ignorance. There's no way of knowing, so acting like, hey, I know without a doubt that they were, they committed that act due to some left-leaning
Goddamn right,
sort
I
of
called
agenda.
Erica Kirk a cunt.
Anyway,
Sorry, had to
let's
address a
And I
retard
don't
in the
know
chat.
what is being said with regard to that right now in Israel, but I am curious. I mean, he is a beacon for so many in his young generation. Your last quick thought.
Actually, wait a second. No, I called her a stupid cunt. Get it right.
People can be irreplaceable. Charlie was 31 years old. He was a great hero of our common roots and common culture. My own brother, my older brother, was 30 years old when he died trying to successfully rescuing Israeli hostages that were held by German and Arab terrorists in Entebbe, Uganda. And I thought about my brother all my life, and I think of Charlie. I'll be thinking of Charlie all my life. You know, they're gone, and maybe they're once in a generation, but generations then live by their legacy.
Amen to that. Prime Minister Netanyahu, grateful.
And clearly Netanyahu's the kind of dude that really cares about the lives of other people.
It's been nearly 24 hours since the shooting happened. The manhunt, though, continues for this killer. We're expecting to get another update from authorities in about 30 minutes or so. We begin our team coverage with NBC4's Conan Nolan. He's live from the newsroom with the latest on this investigation. Conan.
That's right. To that degree, police in Utah have offered that $100,000 reward. They're looking for help from anyone who can apprehend the person responsible for yesterday's murder of political activist Charlie Kirk.
You can't marry Charlie Kirk and expect to not get called a stupid cunt. I'm sorry.
Okay, let's move on from that.
That's going to be the final word on that subject.
Yeah, but I do know, apparently it was the father that turned in the son, and a lot of the relatives, supposedly they were more upset over the fact that they found out that he had left-leaning views and was no longer right-leaning, as opposed to the fact that he murdered somebody.
That checks out. Of their suspect. Surveillance footage from a building stairwell of a person of interest, a man appearing to be of college age, who police believe may be the one who, with one bullet, took the life of political activist Charlie Kirk in yesterday's horrific shooting at Utah Valley State University near Provo.
After the shooting, we were able to track his movements as he moved to the other side of the building, jumped off of the building, and fled off of the campus and into a neighborhood. Our investigators have worked through those neighborhoods, contacting anybody they can with doorbell cameras, witnesses, and have thoroughly worked through those communities, trying to identify any leads.
Police believe the assassin shot from a distance roughly 200 yards away, then jumped off the roof. Investigators were able to recover a high-powered bolt-action rifle in a nearby wooded area adjacent to a neighborhood. They believe that is the weapon the gunman used. Tom Winter covers terrorism and security issues for NBC News.
Should they be able to trace that gun, that's not always something that's possible if there's any sort of homemade parts on it, although that appears not to be the case here. If they can trace this in any way, then that could be helpful as well. Even if it was not a legal sale or a handoff, they would at least be able to go to the last person that they have paper on and conduct their investigation from there.
Police believe this was a targeted attack at the Turning Point USA event on campus, which had extensive pre-publicity, with many on campus knowing that Charlie Kirk was going to begin his nationwide conservative tour on this campus, where Kirk routinely engages in political discourse and debate with people who don't agree with him. The 31-year-old father of 2 young children routinely voiced optimism that face-to-face dialogue was fundamental to a healthy society, a principle for which he gave his life on Capitol.
Now, I do agree with that formal discourse is something that is lacking in America, and I do think people need to learn to engage in more formal, sort of rhetoric, unlike a lot of the retards in the chat, which just come in and engage in a bunch of childish ad homs.
Hill today, lawmakers pleading for civil discourse.
Being about a lot of people getting fired from their jobs for I guess, celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. There's a huge amount of people on the right.
What are they saying on social media exactly?
There's a database.
Exactly.
There's a database of people's names, their cities, their workplace, and whether or not they've been fired.
Yeah, there's there's a huge amount of people on the right that are like trying their best to find anybody who makes any video that's like, yeah, screw Charlie Kirk. He, you know, just and try to get them fired. And
well, I think it's obnoxious for people to do that, but if somebody does say on Facebook, if somebody says like, "Oh, I'm glad this person is dead," that's the thing where if people are putting that on social media and their employer sees it, I mean, regardless of what political affiliation the person has, if somebody is saying like, "Yeah, I'm glad this person died," I mean, you should be weary. I wouldn't be too shocked if
sure, but here's the thing about it. I agree with that. But here's the thing about it is I find it like I'm not the only one saying this argument, but it's like I find it extremely hypocritical because most likely Charlie Kirk got shot because someone wanted to silence him. They didn't like what he was saying. Most likely. We don't know. I know you were saying, you know, we're still learning stuff, but most likely it was to silence him. They didn't like his opinion and stuff. So because of that, all these people on the right want to silence the people that don't have the right opinion about Charlie's death. It's very hypocritical.
Yeah, and it is
silence
also
them. They just want to take their job.
It is also hypocritical because when you have scenarios where somebody is saying racist things online and then people go out of their way to contact their employers and get them fired, people claim that it goes against freedom of speech and they freak out that, like, hey, people are saying things that certain people deem to be racist or sexist, and they freak out over that. But then here's an example of them doing the exact same thing, which again shows that there's no consistency. It's just more compartmentalism. It's more just political, like childish team sports.
Of course. This is detestable, what's happened. Political violence has become all too common in American society, and this is not who we are.
Violence, which affects so many different people of so many different political persuasions, is an affliction of America. And coming together is what we ought to be doing.
That was House Speaker Mike Johnson and Minority Leader in the Senate, Chuck Schumer of New York.
And I do agree with Cody Phaser in the chat. Free speech means words not being able to be outlawed. That does not mean freedom to work wherever you want. If your views don't align, that's not the same. If you think it is, you're not. Well, whatever. But yeah, freedom of speech doesn't protect people from getting fired from their jobs, especially if they say things that are pretty racist or things that aren't really considered to be workplace family friendly. And it makes sense.
I agree with that, but I would also say the same thing if, you know, if you were being a piece of shit about George Floyd getting murdered, then hey, you probably deserve to get fired for your job.
Yeah, and a lot of people who are probably going out of their way to contact people's employers. There's probably a good chance that
those people don't have jobs themselves.
Well, no, I'm saying they probably, in reverse cases where it's somebody who died who's being martyred in the media, where it doesn't benefit their political views or their political alignment, they will say the same kind of egregious stuff, but hey, it only counts when other people do it.
The President of the United States says he's going to speak with the family of Charlie Kirk today. Vice President J.D. Vance is going to Utah to pay his own respects and take part in whatever investigation is underway. And we expect a news conference within a half hour. I'm Conan Nolan, NBC4 News.
You know, Conan, President Trump announced this morning Charlie Kirk will be awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I want to talk about the optics of doing that, but also what does that tell you about the significance of who Charlie Kirk was?
Well, he was, that's actually not a surprise. Charlie Kirk, who didn't have all that many great things to say about Donald Trump when Donald Trump
Dude,
first
all
ran
the
for
people
office,
that have been crying and soying in the chat so far exploded when I invoked George Floyd's name. That's awesome.
And it is believed he may be responsible for
like just the point just over their head.
It was Charlie Kirk who went to campuses in battleground states and helped turn out young men who turned out in large numbers for Donald Trump. So he was fundamental to the conversion of so many young people to the conservative movement, which is what Charlie Kirk was beginning to do once again in Utah yesterday when he was starting that college tour.
All right, Conan, thank you so much for that. Yeah.
Okay, next vid.
The news that shattered much of the nation, the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Texas leaders are among those speaking out and condemning what happened. An assailant shot and killed Kirk while he was speaking with college students, as he often did. It happened at Utah Valley University Wednesday in Orem, which is about 40 miles south of Salt Lake City. On Friday, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson was arrested and named as the suspect. Kirk was the founder of Turning Point USA, which he turned into a conservative powerhouse that attracted tens of thousands of young people at college campuses across the country. He welcomed all to debate him about the issues. Kirk was 31 and left behind his wife and 2 young children.
Now, the thing is, a lot of people that are going to try to revere, defend Charlie Kirk, one thing that I do agree with, or I have agreed with, is his views that discourse and formal discourse is something that should be endorsed. A lot of people defending him, I don't think they actually support that. I think they're the kind of people where if they disagree with somebody in person, they just yell and scream and throw temper tantrums, which is what most people do when they disagree with somebody. And like we've seen in the chat today and in previous streams, a lot of the people that disagree with us who associate with the right tend to rely on a bunch of childish ad homs. They don't actually present actual formal arguments. So it's kind of ironic where they don't really seem to stand by his principles, or at least his principles when it comes to discourse.
It was an absolute punch in the gut. It's simultaneously heartbreaking and infuriating, especially to those of us who are in very similar.
Not to mention they always accuse us of being like jobless and shit, and it's like, it's, you know, anywhere between 11 p.m. and like 2 in the morning, depending on where you're at in America. You're raging in this live chat. Yeah.
It's not like I have.
I'm a technician myself.
Well, it's not like I have a difficult time actually following through with a weekly stream, and I'll go 2-3 weeks without streaming because work gets in the way. But yeah. But hey, if there's somebody on the internet you don't like, then they must just be unemployed and live with their parents. That's how it works.
The hearts, minds, and souls of the younger generations.
When you can't go out and have a conversation with college kids on a campus and talk about your ideas without being afraid of some madman with a gun shooting you, then we all lose something. And so I think we have to have not only universal condemnation, which I'm glad we've seen, but then also a commitment from there to try and use this as a moment, an inflection point, to pull back from this brink.
Charlie was very good at taking his message to young people. And I think that from the constitutional conservative aspect, that was something that was missing, you know, to inspire young people, to create that movement among young people, and also to go and, you know, willingly and willfully
create what movement?
Challenge and ask for the open debate.
This is not something that any family needs to experience. I think that is exactly why me and my colleagues have been advocating to tone down this political rhetoric that we are seeing in this country, because if history is any teacher, we've seen how this rhetoric turns into violence, and this is just another example of that.
Governor Greg Abbott ordered...
Oh, no.
It gives and takes.
Playlist.
The man arrested in the killing of right-wing activist Charlie Kirk is not cooperating with authorities, Utah Governor Spencer Cox said on Sunday, as investigators work to establish a motive by talking to his friends and family. Cox said 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, who's being held on suspicion of aggravated murder and other charges, would be formally charged on Tuesday. The Utah governor told ABC's This Week that while Robinson has not confessed, the people around him are cooperating. They include Robinson's roommate, who was also a romantic partner, Cox said, citing the FBI. Cox described the roommate as a male transitioning to female and incredibly cooperative. Reuters has not been able to locate the roommate or representatives for comment and could not determine who was serving as Robinson's legal representative. Robinson, a third-year student at Dixie Technical College, was taken into custody Thursday night at his parents' house after a 33-hour manhunt. Relatives and a family friend alerted authorities that he had implicated himself in the crime.
Oh, look at his parents or his relatives being narcs.
He allegedly scaled...
If one of your relatives murdered somebody, would you turn them in? Or would you harbor some kind of fugitive?
I'd harbor.
A rooftop at Utah Valley University during an outdoor event and shot Kirk in the neck at long range. Investigators found messages engraved into 4 bullet casings, which included references to memes and video game jokes. According to an affidavit filed by authorities, one of the inscriptions read, "Hey fascist, catch." Kirk's charged rhetoric often involved anti-LGBT and anti-immigrant comments, attracting conservatives and drawing widespread criticism from others. Cox told NBC's Meet the...
It's one of the main reasons so many young men voted Republican in the last election. You allowed leftists to speak, and in doing so, they revealed that they were unhinged.
Oh, let's see what Matt Walsh has to say.
Coherent, dangerous radicals, which is why they killed him. A day after Charlie Kirk was assassinated while debating college students in Utah, I said that it was important to gather as much information as possible before drawing any conclusions about culpability, and before implementing the kind of crackdown on left-wing extremism in this country that for many years we've all suspected would be necessary. Well, now, several days later, we have gathered those facts. The assassination of Charlie Kirk was unequivocally an act of LGBT terrorism. Now, more evidence will come out soon. And
okay, so does it fall within the definition of terrorism? I mean, yeah, but do you think he's going to be consistent and say that, you know, like the January 6th rioters, that they're terrorists?
Also,
I mean,
no.
Also, the problem is
the people who were in our chat freaking out immediately shifted and started playing defense the second January 6th was brought up. So, like, what do you think?
That doesn't count.
It doesn't count.
Only the stuff the other side does. The stuff like our side does that, like, no. We're not being biased at all when we're clearly just compartmentalizing things.
Been told personally from sources who are familiar with the FBI's investigation, but already the evidence is overwhelming. Charlie was murdered by a leftist who was in a relationship with a man who identifies as transgender, a man who identifies as a woman. The shooter engraved his ammunition with messages that are commonly used by left-wing Antifa groups, calling Charlie a fascist.
Wait, so, like, I don't know the, like, Reddit internet slang associated with what he, like, ingrained in the bullets, but people were confused. So apparently a lot of the, like, messages were associated with more, like, far-right leaning doctrine. So that's why people thought initially that he was just some crazy, like, Nick Fuentes-esque sort of right-leaning sort of advocate. So he's saying, oh, this stuff is associated with the left. Is that true? So he's saying that it's...
By the way, I thought you were done.
So.
Yeah.
As well as a reference to a fetish subculture.
Well, so wait, Logan Anderson said January 6th was horrible and I'm hella right wing. See, that doesn't surprise me at all because all of my right wing friends watched the video from outside the Capitol with me, and they also thought that whatever the fuck was going on, it wasn't the way to do things. So, yeah, I know better than to think that every right winger would defend January 6th. But
Yeah,
on the
we're
internet, there's a lot of
talking
idiots. Idiots flock to the internet with their shit.
We're talking about close to, I don't know, like 100 million people. No, all of them. All of them just have, like, the most egregious views imaginable and are
Yeah,
completely
no
irrational.
exceptions at all.
Yes.
Days before the murder, several trans-identifying individuals and people in their social groups posted messages on social media indicating that they were aware that the assassination would soon take place. One of those messages read, "Charlie Kirk is coming to my college tomorrow. I really hope someone evaporates him literally."
Okay, so somebody says it's associated with an internet culture, not even right or left. Okay.
Let's just say something big will happen tomorrow. The account that posted that thread is now suspended from X. Another post from 5 days before the shooting indicated that something big was coming soon. Then after the shooting, the author wrote, "Well, that's that, and another chud bites the dust." Here's another. This one was written on September 3rd. It begins, quote, "It'd be funny if someone like Charlie Kirk got shot on September 10th. Now, the username of the author of this post, as Cassandra McDonald of Gateway Pundit has pointed out, is Tally Hall Album. And coincidentally enough, the man who shot Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson, had a publicly visible playlist of songs by the band Tally Hall on Spotify. And additionally, the shooter's trans-identifying boyfriend, McDonald reported, was active on the Tally Hall subreddit. That's just a sample of some publicly available posts that appeared to predict Charlie's murder. We can obviously assume, based on these posts, that the actual number of people with advanced knowledge of the attack was probably quite high. Additionally, shortly after the assassination, another post written by someone who was in the same friend network as the trans-identifying man who was dating the shooter read simply, "We effing did it." And then a pro-trans organization in Utah called Armed Queer...
Okay, so, again, you're not going to find any examples of people on the internet that are on the right that say things like, hey, kill all the Muslims, or they say other things that are, like, very egregious, associated with subjecting certain groups to death and violence. But no, it's only the left. And again, if you want to try to make the argument that, hey, this particular group is there's a problem with a very large percentage of people in this group possessing these kind of flaws or engaging in this kind of radical behavior, then you need to show statistics. What I find with a lot of these political commentators is they like to rely on anecdotes. And when we're talking about numbers in the millions, and you just like to focus on a handful of social media posts or one or two examples of somebody engaging in an act of violence, people that watch this and they don't see just how flawed and how illogical the like presentation is, just again are poorly educated. I mean, this is like if you're giving a presentation in a college course, then you're not supposed to just rely on anecdotes. You're not supposed to just rely on social media posts. You're supposed to give citation. You're supposed to present studies that show that there is indeed some notable correlation, and you're supposed to rely on statistics.
SLC.
But it's almost like most Americans, it's something like the majority of Americans read or write at or below a 6th grade level. It seems like most Americans are pretty inept when it comes to math as well. And for some reason, statistics is an area where it just goes right over the head of most Americans.
Took down its Instagram page entirely. According to New York Post, Armed Careers SLC has a quote.
Nobody gets angrier when we bring up statistics than the right-wingers in the chat.
Rounds similar to the one that struck Kirk. The group also, quote,
admit it, the only reason why you're not celebrating this is because you know you're going to get taken down. We've covered violence towards people on the right before. We've never tried to make the argument that it's okay to subject anybody to any acts of violence unless it's in self-defense. So I don't care what a person's views are. I don't think it's okay to harm or subject other people to violence.
Hosted a lecture on queer resistance at the University of Utah in September 2023, around 45 miles from Utah Valley University, where the 31-year-old Turning Point USA founder and Trump ally lost his life. Even people with direct knowledge of the shooter continue to protect him after the assassination.
And I think that it's like somebody killing like somebody who is a political commentator on the opposing side or a politician. It just makes people associated with the group or the same group of the killer look bad. So it definitely isn't something that's productive or beneficial. If you want to make a statement towards like pro-LGBT like sort of principles, killing somebody in order to accomplish that or engaging in violence, that's not a productive way to go about things, and I don't encourage it.
New York Times is reporting that members of the shooter's Discord channel were joking with him about the possibility that he was the shooter based on the photographs released by the FBI, and yet none of the members of this Discord group actually turned him in. And this is all evidence on top of a number of officials telling us, including the governor, that he was heavily indoctrinated into left-wing extremism, hearing these sources from the family, from people who knew him. So the evidence, again, is absolutely overwhelming. But maybe the clearest possible sign that Charlie was murdered as part of a coordinated leftist campaign to terrorize conservatives is that over the past several days, his comrades have tried to disown him. Even as hundreds of thousands of leftists openly gloat over Charlie's murder, and this is everyone ranging from neurologists to school teachers to military service members to entertainers to the chief of police of Durham to the entire population of Reddit and BlueSky, even as all that's happening, these same leftists are pretending in
And I mean, it's the internet. So, of course, this is going to happen. Whenever any sort of, like, public sort of figure dies, you're probably going to get a bunch of fucking trolls and a bunch of socially inept people online, because that's the internet. People can say a lot of things anonymously without any sort of consequence. So it's just acting like this is something that you only see with people on the left is simply just dishonest. And if you honestly think what you're saying is legit, then
this is the only time I've seen
the
left do this.
Well, I mean, I think
usually when we see political violence get rewarded and celebrated, it's the right doing said political violence.
Wait, did Dirt lag out again?
He did.
Defiance of all the evidence and of basic common sense that the shooter was actually a MAGA white supremacist. They're pushing the fantasy that Charlie Kirk was murdered because he wasn't right-wing enough. Now, they know that it's not true. They know that no rational person could possibly believe it, but they're saying it anyway. The official talking point of the left is that Charlie was killed by the right. This is a maneuver that, for communist regimes, has always been an old standby. They don't actually care about their foot soldiers, even foot soldiers.
When somebody's like, I'd be ashamed to say I'm a leftist liberal, Democrats today. Maybe Donald T. try to improve your grammar and syntax when you're writing, but I don't associate or I don't identify as a Democrat. I'm not registered under either party, and I don't support either of those fucking parties.
Yeah, all four of us.
Yeah. And it kind of shows how a lot of the people that come in and just assume that, oh, we must be Democrats, we must associate, or we must support people like Biden or Kamala. It shows that they just don't have any critical thinking skills at all.
Lives away for the cause.
Yeah, there's a reason why I care so much about the context when I say things that I say about somebody like Charlie Kirk. Because there's so many right-leaning people that I genuinely like. I wouldn't want them to think that they're that bad.
They certainly don't.
Or that I think they're that bad.
All that matters to leftists is their collective mission. The shooter fulfilled part of the left mission by killing Charlie, by murdering someone who dared to engage them in free and open debates that they could not win. And now the shooter is fulfilling another mission. He's a useful tool to defame and malign the right. Now, there are too many examples on this front to list, but here's a few. We'll start with Reddit, one of the many.
Oh, and it's not like a lot of people on the right are just taking advantage of this to use him as a martyr, as a way to just engage in more of the all or nothing sort of rhetoric, to use it as a way to vilify everyone associated with the other party.
Pools that should
the Republican Party itself has loved Charlie Kirk's corpse than they ever loved him when he was alive.
Oh, somebody says, I'm not Democrat, I voted Democrat. I just said that I'm not registered under either of those parties. And I never said
or maybe
I
she was just saying that about herself.
Ground for domestic terrorism. But here's a sample of the post. Quote, the Bella Ciao thing found on the ammo casings is a Nick Fuentes thing. He seems like an online Nick Fuentes groiper. Yep, groipers have been against Charlie Kirk for a long time. Then when someone asks what a groiper is, the response is, quote, alt-right, white nationalist, Christian nationalist followers of Nick Fuentes. It's impossible to overstate how aggressively this message is being put.
Now, Nick Fuentes, I mean, his rhetoric is kind of racist to the point where, I mean, even if he doesn't identify as a neo-Nazi, I mean, he's clearly a white supremacist. So is it fair to say that anybody who's registered as a Republican or anybody who votes like red is the same as Nick Fuentes and has the same views? I mean, I'm aware that somebody like Nick Fuentes is like fucking crazy. Like, they're a crazy motherfucker. So I'm not going to sit there and act like, hey, look, here's somebody on the right, therefore that's everybody on the right.
On Reddit and BlueSky. It's also all over Facebook. It's all over the internet. The media is
for all the idiots we get in our chat. I wouldn't want to give off that same shit.
Exaggeration to say that the majority of leftists probably believe it. They're claiming that a gay man who was dating a trans-identifying man, who openly told his family and friends that he hated Charlie Kirk, who was steeped in left-wing ideology, according to the governor of Utah, who wrote Antifa messages on the bullet casings, who accused Charlie of being a fascist, was actually, in truth, a big fan of Nick Fuentes, was a big far-right, right-wing guy. To be clear, Antifa terrorists have been citing the Bella Ciao song for a long time. As Andy No has pointed out, including in 2019 when an Antifa shooter cited the song in a manifesto before attacking an ICE facility. So there's a record, there's a precedent, not just for this Bella Ciao thing to be used by the far left, but for it to be used by the far left when they're carrying out domestic terrorist attacks. Additionally, one of the...
Oh, yeah, and you don't see any, violence from those who associate with the right engaging in certain acts that you could deem as terrorism. So again, there's Dylan Roof. That was in 2017 when he shot up that black church because of his white supremacist views. There was the, Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. I think that was in 2017, 2018. And there was a dude that ran a car into a crowd of counter protesters. And he ended up killing this young woman. I think her name was Heather or something. But there's plenty of examples. They're not that difficult to find. And I mean, the internet exists. All of the world's information is on the internet. So again, it's not like it's that difficult to do your homework and find counterexamples of like both sides engaging in acts of violence that fall within the parameters of terrorism. But again, people aren't going to do their homework, and let's just make the baseless assumption that if I did take the time to look into it, I wouldn't find anything that confirms this truth that I don't want to believe to be true. So it kind of just shows, again, that people are childish and people don't know how to think critically and they don't know how to recognize their own ignorance. They make decisions based on emotion as opposed to logic and reasoning.
Leaders of Antifa Los Angeles owns a company called Bella Ciao Cinema. This is an old World War II song that's been repurposed by Antifa today. You know, everyone who looks into this knows it. It's very obvious. But in the left-wing fever swamps, they're pretending otherwise. Prominent outlets like CNN are doing their best to further the same narrative. Take a look at this screenshot of CNN's homepage the other day. There are 9 stories about Charlie's assassination. None of them discuss the shooter's motive or his belief in left-wing ideology and his connection to transgenderism. None of them discuss the gloating of leftists or the messages that predicted the attack. Instead, the stories are about the job that Kash Patel is doing, or how leftists are getting fired for celebrating Kirk's death, or how the shooter's father turned him in. Meanwhile, all over social media, major figures in the American left are
too with that too, because at first it's like, hey, if you're transgender, that has something to do with you being a shooter and stuff. And now it's like, oh well, if you like someone who's transgender, that makes you like, you know, someone who's most likely going to be a shooter and stuff. And the next thing is be like, well, you're an acquaintance to someone who's trans. Obviously, you're going to be a shooter. It's like, it's so stupid.
Well, it's like when we were kids and they like to associate video games with school shootings. And it's just, they use the stupid logic of, hey, when pretty much like 90-something% of kids within that age group at the time played video games, they all like played video games. Therefore, that's the reason. They all breathed oxygen. Therefore, breathing oxygen is the reason why they committed shooting. So here it's just, hey, here's a trait that they have. They committed a shooting or they did something they weren't supposed to. Therefore, it has to be that trait.
Because I don't like that.
Therefore, it is that.
Because I don't like that trait. Yeah, it's so childish because the numbers would be obvious. Like, what percentage of America is LGBTQ, whatever, right? And then what percentage of America ends up being shooters? What's the difference in those numbers? Because if it's so just aligned and obviously correlated and everything, like then you should be able to see it. There's just
if you want to blame trans kids for these mass shootings, then they've got some catching up to do if they want to catch up to white boys.
Yeah, here's the thing about it is I feel like the people on the right who are acting this way about the Charlie Kirk shooting and everything, and acting, oh, it's the left, blah blah blah, all the left is fucked up and stuff. It's like, do you realize shootings happen all the goddamn fucking time, right? Like I said earlier, there's been over 200, easily mass shootings in America just in 2025 alone. You guys didn't hear about that or complain about that, but plenty of those people were on all sorts of sides politically, and they got killed or killed someone because the world isn't black and white like that. It's not, oh, Democrats will shoot people, but Republicans won't. Republicans will shoot people, but Democrats won't. It's like, no, anybody can identify with either of those sides and at the same time be some fucking crazy motherfucker that would shoot people that disagree with them. Like, stop being a...
Hey, you don't got to have any sort of politics to shoot people.
Yeah. Cody in the chat says, like in the last 10 years, pretty much all the attacks have been left, attacking right. Like on the top of my head, there's that one just a couple of years ago. It was Laura Ann Carlton who, because she had a pride flag, these two guys stabbed her and murdered her. So, like with Charlie Kirk being murdered because he doesn't support LGBT views or principles, here's a woman who was killed because she did support LGBTQ principles. And it's like, okay, there you go. There's one example that is essentially the same thing that we just saw with Charlie Kirk. But of course, that doesn't count because why? Just because insert confirmation bias here.
And again, not to
Openly
mention,
lying.
everyone seems
Here's
to
Harvard-
forget to again, it was like February, April that those two Democratic senators were shot and killed in their homes. The one lady got her wife and dog killed in the home too. Like, that's fucked up.
Yeah, the chat messages that are that stupid. I'm just not going to respond to chat messages that are that egregiously stupid for the rest of the night. But when it comes to this, like, this phenomena of political violence in the last 10 years, with all the jokes that I've made about Charlie Kirk, and there's been others like him in the past, but I'm at least willing to say that I would way rather live in a world where Charlie Kirk is still alive, but the other people who have died in those senseless acts are still alive, and we just don't have. I would way rather live in a world where there isn't either side celebrating it. And really, my edgy jokes have largely come from a place of just doing what those people do every time a black kid gets killed by a cop. It's not right, but I'm also willing to say it's not right, and I'd rather live in a world where we don't have that.
Professor Lawrence Tribe, for example, quote, Kirk's apparent assassin seems to have been ultra MAGA, exploiting the GOP MAGA attempt to pin the blame for this tragedy on liberals.
Okay, next vid.
Shortly before suspect Tyler Robinson made his first court appearance from jail.
Mr. Robinson, for count 1, aggravated murder.
Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray unveiled sweeping allegations of what happened after Charlie Kirk was assassinated on the campus of Utah Valley University last Wednesday.
Police interviewed Robinson's roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson.
Perhaps most stunning was this accusation of what happened shortly after the shooting.
The roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, "Drop what you're doing, look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it."
Court documents included a series of text messages where Robinson seemed to confess.
Roommate, you weren't the one who did it, right? Robinson, I am. I'm sorry. Roommate, why? Robinson, why did I do it? Roommate, yeah. Robinson, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence.
The alleged murder weapon was found in a wooded area near campus.
Robinson again, I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle.
And the county attorney said Robinson made a request.
Well, good thing he returned the rifle. So
yeah, that's what matters.
Good social skills. If you murder somebody with your grandmother's rifle, make sure you return it afterwards.
Toward the end of the
So why are they even charging him
Robinson
at that point?
Delete this exchange. You are all I worry about, love. That came from Robinson. Roommate, I'm much more worried about you. I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty.
You will remain in custody without bail.
The hearing lasted just a few minutes. Did your investigation uncover any individuals that may have known about this shooting in advance?
They are still looking into it. It's an undergoing investigation.
So is that a possibility?
They haven't ruled that out.
In court, Tyler Robinson was stoic. He showed no emotion, even when the judge mentioned that he could face the death penalty. By the way, that green vest he was wearing?
I think he understood that he was pretty much going to spend the rest of his life in prison or face death penalty after he committed this crime.
Is to prevent self-harm. Carter Evans, CBS News, Provo, Utah.
Prosecutors detailed some revealing evidence in the case against Tyler Robinson, accused of killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Now, Robinson made his first court appearance virtually from jail on Tuesday. He's accused of aggravated murder, a charge that could bring a death sentence. Carter Evans has the latest.
Could you state your name?
Tyler James Robinson. Those were the only words spoken by Charlie Kirk's alleged killer in a virtual court appearance Wednesday.
I am charged with bringing justice for Charlie Kirk.
Earlier, Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray announced the suspect's charges include aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, obstruction of justice, and witness tampering. Prosecutors say after the shooting, the suspect texted his roommate, who was also his romantic partner, to look under his keyboard for a note that read, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie."
I'm wondering, so if he wasn't just if he didn't just come to terms with the fact that, okay, after I do this, I'm giving up my freedom. he's an idiot. Texting his roommate after he just committed a murder.
Kirk, and I'm going to take it.
Roommate responded, "What? You're joking, right?"
Prosecutors say the roommate provided those texts, and in subsequent messages, they claim when asked why he shot Kirk, the suspect replied, quote, "I had enough of this hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out." Later, writing that he planned the assassination for over a week. Prosecutors also say the suspect appeared to be concerned over hiding the alleged murder weapon, which he called Grandpa's rifle, allegedly texting his roommate,
"I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints."
It was the suspect's father, prosecutors say, who called his son after the FBI released surveillance images of
the he did have hopes that he would be able to evade capture, so yeah, he's a fucking idiot.
Gunman. They also claim his parents ultimately talked him out of taking his own life and into meeting at their home before turning himself in. Did your investigation uncover any individuals that may have known about this shooting in advance?
They are still looking into it. It's an undergoing investigation.
So is that a possibility?
They haven't ruled that out.
The suspect's next hearing is scheduled for September 29th, and the judge said he'll be given a court-appointed lawyer.
Dude, you gotta dissolve the rifle in hydrofluoric acid. Get rid of the evidence, but I guess he's principled, so he wanted to return it to his grandparents.
Our coverage of Charlie Kirk's assassination as prosecutors reveal new evidence against Tyler Robinson, the man accused of killing the conservative activist. Robinson made his first court appearance virtually from jail Tuesday. His charges include aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, obstruction of justice, and witness tampering. Prosecutors say the suspect's father called him after the FBI released surveillance images of the alleged gunman. They also claim his parents ultimately talked him out of taking his own life and into meeting at their home before turning himself in.
Your investigation uncover any individuals that may have known about this shooting in advance?
They are still looking into it. It's an undergoing investigation.
So is that a possibility?
They haven't ruled that out.
Robinson's next hearing is scheduled for September 29th, and the judge says he'll be...
Okay, do you think we've covered this enough? Do you want to go to the next topic?
More than enough.
Yeah. So, Russia, they've decided to violate NATO airspace. Been sending drones into Poland and Romania.
President Trump with a pointed question involving Russia and Vladimir Putin after that scramble in the sky over Poland. President Trump asking what's with Russia violating Poland's airspace with drones. The images tonight, Poland and NATO scrambling fighter jets to shoot down those Russian drones. Poland, of course, a member of NATO, all nations defending each other. Tonight, Poland says multiple Russian drones were shot down. A home had a drone crash right through its roof. So after this Russian move, tonight, President Trump posting online, quote, "Here we go." Martha Raddatz just back from Ukraine with late reporting for us.
President Trump asking why Russia is sending drones into Poland, a NATO country that U.S. and NATO members have promised to defend. What's with Russia violating Poland's airspace with drones? Here we go. NATO scrambling F-16 and F-35 fighter jets and shooting down 4 of the...
Now, I'm wondering, were they like spy drones? So I guess that would make some sense, but if they actually were combat drones, it's just, is Putin trying to start World War III? Because if he does get
probably
some NATO state involved in the war, then that means that all the other NATO states are required to come to their aid. So they haven't been doing a good job just going against Ukraine alone.
At least 19 drones, the first time since NATO was formed that an adversary's weapons have been targeted in Allied airspace.
Whether it was intentionally or not, it is absolutely reckless.
There were no casualties, but the owners of this home narrowly missed the debris. Polish officials studying those downed drones. This comes nearly a month after President Trump's summit with Putin in Alaska. Since then, Russia ramping up deadly attacks on Ukraine. Just days ago, President Zelensky telling me Putin doesn't want peace.
I always said we can't trust Putin. He plays games, and he's playing games with the United States. I think so.
And David, Russia claimed it had not planned to hit any targets in Poland, but whether anything was hit or not, this is a major and dangerous move by the Russians. David?
Martha Raddatz just back from several days of reporting.
And I know each NATO country, they have a NATO embassy in them where there are like appointed NATO ambassadors of every single state. So whenever this happens, every country is going to have a meeting within their like NATO embassy, and they have to address like how they're going to respond. And I don't know, like if he doesn't want NATO to continue to build up defenses on Russian borders, I don't think this is the best approach.
In the heart of Eastern Europe, where history has so often been written in fire and steel, NATO now stages its largest exercises since the end of the Cold War. What unfolds across Poland's rivers, skies and fields is not mere theatre, but a rehearsal shaped by the urgency of a new reality. Poland has invoked Article 4 of the alliance, demanding urgent talks after Russian drones violated its airspace. The message of this exercise is therefore unmistakable.
And one of the big reasons he invaded Ukraine is he didn't want, again, NATO's borders to expand, but then Norway and Finland ended up joining NATO. And both of those countries have a decent amount of military strength. And of course, they're going to invest even more in their military. Along with all the NATO states, Poland has really been like ramping up its military. So he kind of didn't succeed. So now NATO's borders has like extended to a pretty decent degree and everything. So do you think Putin knows what he's doing, or do you think there needs to be more checks and balances?
Putin's always.
I don't think Putin.
Right.
I don't think Putin is used. What I have to say is short. I don't think he's used to these scenarios where he can't just have what he wants. You know what I mean? Considering that Russia and a lot of the countries that they have control over, he has the KGB bust down people's doors over social media posts all the time. So, consider that that's what he's like as a leader. His mind works differently from normal people.
Oh, so Truth Hurt says, so it's easy to see that you guys really haven't done any research on this topic either. So you want to point out what we're getting wrong here? Or what you disagree with?
Chat for tonight, man.
Deterrence and unity in the face of provocation.
What's that?
They don't need to
just
prove
because,
anything.
bro.
Oh, yeah.
How wrong you are.
On the banks of the Vistula River, Poland's own Leopard tanks grind into action, their turrets swiveling as soldiers scan the horizon. These machines, symbols of national defense, embody Warsaw's determination to resist encroachment at all costs. Beside them, German amphibious vehicles plunge headlong into the water, bridging not only riverbanks, but the bonds between allies. American Abrams tanks thunder forward, their silhouettes instantly recognizable as symbols of US commitment to Europe's defense. Turkish armored vehicles follow close behind, proof that NATO is not merely an Atlantic club, but a multinational shield stretching from the Mediterranean to the Baltic. Spanish soldiers climb aboard Leopard tanks, their presence reminding all that this is not Poland's burden alone, it is shared across the continent. Overhead, F-16 fighter jets scream across the sky, their formation cutting clean lines into the grey Polish clouds. Helicopters sweep low above the river, simulating rapid deployment, medical evacuation and close air support. In these coordinated manoeuvres lies the essence of NATO's strength, interoperability. Every bolt, every radio frequency, every formation is rehearsed so that in the chaos of real combat, order will prevail. The alliance knows...
Yes?
You never said hi to Dirt when he came back.
Oh, well, he's been popping in and out pretty frequently.
Well, he's back now.
Is that deterrence is not built in speeches, but in the ability to operate seamlessly under pressure. France, too, demonstrates...
It's just my internet, dude. I don't know what's going on with it, dude. Happened twice. Happened before the show. It's no good.
Leclerc tanks roll into position.
So Supergirl's PF says, without America, Russia thinks Europe is weak. Well, Russia's stupid if they think that they can steamroll Europe without America. I mean, Ukraine isn't even like in the top 20 countries in terms of military strength, and they've done terrible. And their war against them. And Britain, France, I mean, a lot of the world's strongest top 10 militaries are in NATO, even if you don't include the United States. And I mean, in conjunction and everything, I mean, Britain and France are also two of some of the only nuclear powers on the planet. I mean, there's a decent stockpile of aircraft carriers that all the NATO states have. I think Britain has like 2 aircraft carriers. France, Italy have some. So they definitely, the military strength of just Britain and France combined probably surpasses Russia. And even if Russia has a greater number of like military equipment, their troops are still poorly trained. There's a lot more corruption. They're a lot worse when it comes to the logistics. So a lot of the European like NATO states definitely have much more well-organized militaries where there's far less corruption, and all of their equipment and stuff is actually working and well-maintained. So Russia would be fucked if they went to war with Europe, even if the United States didn't get involved at all.
their crews steady and composed, epitomizing the discipline that NATO depends upon. Soldiers gather by the vehicles, exchanging signals and commands. To the casual eye, this may look like routine movement, but to the Alliance, it is a test. Can units from different languages, cultures, and doctrines fight as one?
Wait, Remy says, yeah, China going to fuck us up? I hope you're not being serious.
Demonstrated here is
That's
yes.
my buddy Remy. You better be
High
nice
above the fields,
to him.
Italy's Eurofighter Typhoons streak past, practicing maneuvers that prepare them to land on improvised
Dude,
runway.
if you think Russia's military is flawed when it comes to their sort of corruption, people selling parts on the black market, and all the infighting when it comes to their military officials, China, they have a really serious problem with cronyism, where people will give their buddies high-ranking military positions where they're half the age of the different soldiers that they're supposed to be commanding, and they just sit back and watch TV like inside some sort of interior as all their troops just meander about. So China, when it comes to their level of corruption, it's definitely it's going to cause even more problems than Russia.
In wartime, air bases are likely to be destroyed in the opening salvos. A highway, therefore, becomes a lifeline. These drills are not improvisations born of theory. They are practical responses to the cold calculus of modern war. The exercise known as Brilliant Jump further intensifies the scenario. British armoured vehicles roll into position.
And people who always bring that up, like China is this big encroaching threat. Like any moment, China's going to take over the world. China has an aging population. So in a couple
decades,
an
Asian population.
Okay, shut the fuck up, Chad.
Sorry.
God damn it, Chibisky.
So
I'm sorry.
They're going to get to the point where they're not going to be able to actually produce like sustainable economy. China can't generate its own economy already. They have to rely on outsourcing labor overseas, and India and other like East Asian countries are bleeding into that market. And once and because of the one-child policy and everything, it's just they're going to get to the point where in the next 20 years, their senior population will be the largest age demographic in the country. So more and more people are going to have to take time away from work to care for the elders. So they have a very limited margin where they can really exercise any kind of power. And like Japan and South Korea alone have a higher like military strength than China. So even if the United States and other Western countries didn't get involved at all, India's military is up there and rivals China's. So, I mean, if India, Indonesia, the Philippines, Australia, like all these other countries in the region, they could definitely hold their own against China.
Advance through trenches, smoke curls into the air
Really
as mock
quick.
explosions erupt. Soldiers.
Right now we're at 45 likes. If you haven't yet, hit the like button on this stream. Let's get to 50 likes, guys. We want to see 50 likes. We're only 5 likes away right now.
Sprint, fire, and take cover, simulating the frantic rhythm of real combat. Spanish tanks maneuver alongside, their engines growling as they provide cover for advancing infantry. Gunfire rattles, soldiers crawl through mud, and smoke bombs obscure their movements.
Natalie says, my gen in the U.S. is not having children either. Yeah, that's something throughout much of the developed world is a problem. People aren't having kids. And it's definitely going to cause a lot of problems economically 20, 30 years from now.
Is designed to harden instincts. When the day comes, soldiers must not hesitate. They must act as though they have already fought this war 100 times before. The choreography is relentless. British soldiers scramble into armoured vehicles, leap out into tall grass, and storm through smoke screens.
But do you know what's something that could definitely help address the issue of an aging population?
Automation.
Well, that. But there's something else, even if you can't rely on automation.
Forced inoculation.
Now,
no?
Immigration. So, you know what? There's a lot of countries that have rising populations, like Nigeria. So it's like, you know what? Maybe inviting more people into the country is a good way to keep the economy going. And it's a good way to fill in, like, those needed roles in the workforce. But, of course, immigration is evil. So we got to become an insular country. We got to build that wall.
Close-ups capture determination etched onto young faces.
And then, of course, if we rely on automation, and try to get to some kind of like type 1 civilization status, well, hey, that's communism.
Men and women who know
Goddamn right, Bryant. More cream pies for the country.
The rifles, the grind of tanks rolling across Polish soil, all combine into a singular statement. NATO will not be caught unprepared. In the skies, Poland's own contribution is unmistakable. MiG-29 fighters, relics of the Cold War modernized for a new century, soar overhead in tight formation. The jets are both a reminder of Poland's difficult history, once a Warsaw Pact nation, now a frontline NATO member, and a signal of its central role in Europe's security. Pilots who train here do so with the knowledge that they may be the first to intercept a violation, the first to respond, the first to fight if deterrence fails. But this display of force is not mere military spectacle. It carries profound political weight. Poland's decision to invoke Article 4 reflects genuine alarm at Russian provocations. The drones that crossed its skies were not accidents. They were calculated tests of NATO's resolve. Exercises like Dragon 24 and Brilliant Jump are the alliance's answer, a visual, tangible reminder that the red lines of NATO airspace are not negotiable. Yet behind every tank maneuver and fighter jet pass lies a deeper story. This is about deterrence through unity. NATO was founded on the principle that an attack on one is an attack on all. That principle is only credible if every member is seen to stand shoulder to shoulder. From Spain's Leopards to Turkey's armoured vehicles, from French Leclercs to American Abrams, from Italian Typhoons to British infantry, the breadth of NATO's commitment is on full display. For Poland...
Yes, they got lots of tanks and weapons and aircraft. Yeah, that really helps in war. Did you know that?
This is more than an exercise. It is reassurance. A nation with a history scarred by invasion, partition, and occupation knows better than most the price of complacence.
Yeah, Poland throughout most of its history hasn't really been its own country. It's always been like part of some other like state.
Yeah, it's the most occupied country in modern history.
On its soil is a guarantee that it does not stand alone. For the rest of Europe, these drills are both comfort and warning. Comfort in the alliance's readiness, warning that the line between exercise and reality may blur with little notice. The war in Ukraine casts its long shadow across these drills. Russia's use of drones, hybrid tactics, and electronic warfare has forced NATO to adapt. Gone are the days when the alliance could plan leisurely for hypothetical conflicts. Now every maneuver is tied to real scenarios observed just across the border. Drones veer off course, communications are jammed, trenches are fortified, all echo the brutal lessons of modern warfare unfolding in real time. As tanks roll along...
Oh, God. Do you think that with AI, we will ever get to the point where we can just,
where we can just automate this fucking podcast? No.
Well, no, we can just follow through with curing all the diseases we can, and we can create like the sort of director AI that acts as like some kind of perfect, unbiased government? Or do you think we're all going to kill ourselves before we get to AI, or AI is going to kill us all? Maybe human beings just suck, and maybe that's just what needs to happen.
I don't believe in the idea that AI is going to destroy us. I think that seems like a silly idea.
Well, you're saying it's silly, but a lot of the like leading experts in this area are deeply concerned.
Let's do a stream on that. That sounds like a cool
project. Do
you
know better
it's a
than
thing
Stephen
where
Hawking, Shab?
Yeah,
well,
he's just a dumbass in a wheelchair. Fuck that fucking disabled
a lot of
fuck.
people get the notion that because if you go outside, like I said a few times earlier when we were talking about Charlie Kirk, you go outside, you're going to meet people who have different politics from you, but you just can't get enough of them. They're your friend. You love them. But, a lot of people think that because that's a fact for most people, that the really bad people who have control over shit can't just launch bombs at each other and start World War III.
Well, anyway, I gotta pee. I'll be right back. Talk to the chat.
How unprofessional.
But the reason why I bring that up is because when we talk about political violence and people getting angry at each other online, in these live chats on Twitter, social media, wherever it happens, it's you really shouldn't let it get to you that much intrapersonally. You should be a lot more stressed out about what these governments are doing, and the two parties in America, they are in like full capitalization mode with this Charlie Kirk thing, and it should be apparent now more than ever how they'll use shit like this to divide us, and that's why I'm conflicted when it comes to that because you don't want to be too nice when it comes to right-wing terrorism. You don't want to go saying that, Charlie Kirk didn't go around promoting hate and stuff like that. But you also don't want your, the normie rednecks to think that they, there's a bunch of people who think they deserve that to happen to them too. I've had way too many redneck friends who voted Republican and then felt bad about it, or they're just still too brainwashed by Fox News to realize why it was bad, but at their core they're still good people. And I don't know, when you have to face them and spend time with them, that's just something that you can't ignore, and I wouldn't want to forget that.
That was well said. That was well said.
Not to go into lecture speech mode.
I like what you said there, because that's the problem with all this is, everyone's painting everybody with a broad brush from both sides. It's a bunch of us versus them lingo that it's exactly what the people in power wanted. It's perfect diversion.
Right.
Everyone's at each other's throats. And
that's why I use the example of somebody coming into my chat and saying the Jews killed Charlie Kirk because of the stuff about Israel. It's like, well, Jews aren't a Borg, Israel and their citizenry aren't a Borg, so what do you even mean by that?
But the left is a Borg, of course.
The left is a Borg, obviously.
Okay. Next vid.
Barbed wire rolled out as Poland closes 2 of the remaining border crossings with Belarus. Warsaw says it's closing the border until further notice, saying Russian and Belarusian military drills are to blame.
In Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, the president, or you could say dictator of Belarus, he really likes sucking the dick of Putin. And Russia, they no longer have the KGB, but Belarus, they still have the KGB. So they their leader, I would say he's up there with Kim Jong-un as one of the craziest dictators. I mean, similar to how Kim Jong-un's obsessed with basketball, he is obsessed with ice hockey. And there's one law where it's illegal to film the back of his head because he has a bald spot. Yeah. But the people love him because he's been elected 5 times.
Zamknęliśmy ruch na granicy polsko-białoruskiej. We closed traffic on the Polish-Belarusian border. This is due to the Zapad maneuvers. These maneuvers are aimed squarely at Poland and the European Union. These maneuvers are practicing aggressive warfare scenarios against our country.
The Zapad joint exercises are held every 2 years and were announced months ago. In 2021, the drills involved some 200,000 soldiers, something analysts called a massive show of force months before Moscow invaded Ukraine. This year, Russia could spare only several thousand soldiers with so many troops fighting in Ukraine. The drills have been moved deeper into Belarus, near Borisov, some 300 kilometers away from Poland. They also include naval exercises in the Baltic and Barents Seas. Moscow says the goal...
Belarus, they allowed Russia to build troops up near its borders during the invasion of Ukraine. But Russia, they're not a big fan of the Baltic states, which is Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. They're not a big fan of them being east of Belarus, but one thing that strategy that they have is they call it the pincher maneuver, where they have this exclave right here, Kaliningrad, and they can, because they're allies with Belarus, they can just cut it off from the rest of the NATO states. But now, because Norway and Finland have joined, they don't have that sort of tactical advantage anymore. So, again, Putin kind of shot himself in the foot invading Ukraine.
Moscow says the goal is to test military and nuclear readiness, and that the drills aren't targeting anyone. The Kremlin says Europe is overreacting.
Teddy's kind of right. Tanks are antiquated. I mean, nowadays, it's just, you can have a bunch of fucking tanks, but you call in some airstrikes and some artillery strikes, or even just a small kamikaze drone. You can just fly in a drone and drop some C4 on the tank, and there you go. No more tank. You don't even need to destroy the tank. You can just immobilize it. So there are simple...
When this most recent invasion into Ukraine happened in 2022, it bothered me how many people had like Call of Duty, like, you know, infantrymen running around and shooting each other in their mind. And I'm like, do you have any idea how much of this comes down to armor and artillery and Air Force? Drones. Drones are a huge part of warfare nowadays.
Yeah, I've had a lot of arguments with retards on the internet about how, like, yeah, China could take over South Korea by just Zerg rushing it.
Russia has never threatened anyone. It does not threaten the countries of Europe either. It was not Russia who moved towards Europe with its military infrastructure. On the contrary, Europe, being an integral part of the NATO alliance, which is a tool of confrontation, not peace and stability, has always moved toward our borders.
Just days ago, Poland shot down several drones it said were deliberately launched by Russia into its airspace, something Moscow has denied.
We don't think Russia is behind this provocation. We know it. I hope that none of our allies will pretend that nothing happened, because it did happen.
A potential Russian threat has been in the spotlight of Polish and Baltic states' foreign policies for years. As the conflict with Ukraine continues and spillovers into NATO soil are becoming more common, Poland says it has never been closer to open confrontation since World War II. Dmitry Medvedenko, Al Jazeera.
Don't miss out. Get a full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera.
So when do you think we're finally going to see an end to this war?
Next week. On the next episode of PPP.
I mean,
5 hours.
It wouldn't shock me if it goes on for like another 5 or 6 years. It's going to be Russia's Iraq.
No, Trump's going to end the war, John.
Yeah, in the same way Obama was going to withdraw the troops.
We turn now to President Trump's threat of new sanctions against Russia as he prepares to head to the UK this week. ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang is in Bedminster, New Jersey, with more on that. Selena, good morning.
Hey, Wade, good morning. That's right. President Trump says he's ready to impose tough new sanctions on Russia, but it's a threat he's repeatedly made without following.
Wait, sanctions? Aren't they supposed to be tariffs?
Through. So the question is whether this time is any different as President Trump's patience with Putin wears thin. President Trump says he's ready to impose tough sanctions on Russia, but only if all NATO allies agree to do the same and stop buying Russian oil. The president posting, the purchase of Russian oil by some has been shocking. It greatly weakens your negotiating position and bargaining power over Russia. Anyway, I'm ready to go when you are. Just say when. But while Trump has made these threats before, he's never followed through.
There's very little chance that those NATO countries that are still...
No, Trump always follows through with his promises and his threats.
Every time. I'm the bigliest promise follower.
I mean, didn't he follow through with locking up Hillary and building that wall?
That bitch is in prison now.
He didn't just say. He also said he was going to lock up Biden and like other. There was more than just Hillary.
Did he follow through with releasing the Epstein files?
Now it doesn't exist. It just all of a sudden did.
Oil and gas.
Yes, I released the files that totally don't have my name on them.
Will cooperate. This is in a way a bit of an empty threat.
Trump is also calling on NATO members to impose tariffs of 50 to 100% on China, saying China has a strong control, even grip over Russia, and these powerful tariffs will break that grip. China's leader Xi Jinping hosted Vladimir Putin in Beijing just over a week ago, deepening ties between the two nations. Trump's latest demands come just days after the NATO alliance scrambled fighter jets to shoot down more than a dozen Russian attacks.
That's the other thing. So Trump hasn't been doing a really good job bringing the world closer to the United States. And he's done a really good job fracturing our relationship with certain nations that are a huge asset, such as India. So now Modi has been becoming much more friendly with China and everything. And they're pushing India away, and India is really pissed off over the tariffs. So that's definitely like India is definitely a really good ally to have, and doesn't seem like the tariffs are really going to help us out there. So if you want to lessen China's influence on the world stage, I don't think bringing them closer to India, another major like global like power, is something that's really I guess, advantageous for our own country's well-being.
drones that violated Poland's airspace. Trump suggested the drone incursions could have been a mistake, but Poland insists it was deliberate. And now, feeling even more concerned for NATO allies, Russia and Belarus kicking off major joint military exercises on NATO's doorstep, a show of force close to the Polish border. The president asked whether his patience with Putin is running out.
Yeah, it's sort of running out and running out fast, but it does take two to tango. It's amazing when Putin wants to do it.
It's like they're having a breakup, falling out.
Zelensky didn't.
This is Fox
When
and
Zelensky wanted to do
Friends. Another, like, one thing that happened recently, I don't know if you heard about it, Gene, but the guy all the way to the right, he said he advocated for putting to death homeless people that don't take advantage of, like, public assistant things. Like, he literally said, like, if you look it up, you'll watch a clip, and it's crazy that they said it and nobody even questioned him or anything. It was weird.
Well, there are a lot of people on the right that have that attitude of, well, hey, if I'm disabled and I have to live off of some kind of assistance, just take me out back. And you had that, God, what's his name? That one retard who, he was the dude where he was getting mad that people said that he looked like Thanos because he didn't know who Thanos was.
I'm not sure.
Okay, but he was talking about how he was running for president. And it's like, okay, if you're over 60, you got to go. Everyone over 60 is going to be euthanized, and that
sounds familiar.
Yeah, that's their attitude. Is that if
until they hit 60, and then now they're against.
Oh yeah,
it. Right.
I'm sure.
Well, 65 maybe.
Well, if them or one of their relatives got really sick and weren't able to provide for themselves, I'm sure they would still support that rhetoric of, put down anybody who needs assistance and I guess isn't able to contribute much to the economy.
Putin did. Now Zelensky wants to, and Putin is a question mark.
And President Trump heads to London this week, where UK leaders are expected to press him on this issue. Trump's summit with Putin last month was billed as a step towards peace, but since then, Putin has only escalated the war. Gio?
Okay, Selena, thank you so much. Let's go ahead and bring in our chief global affairs anchor, Martha Raddatz, who's hosting ABC's.
It was two F-16 fighter jets like these that detected a drone in Romania's airspace. The Romanian Defense Ministry says the jets were patrolling near the border following Russian airstrikes on Ukrainian infrastructure.
At 1823, F-16 aircraft detected a drone in national airspace, which they tracked to approximately 20 kilometers southwest of Chiliavece, where it disappeared from radar. The drone did not fly over populated areas and did not pose an imminent danger to the safety of the population.
It's the second breach of NATO airspace in just a matter of days after Poland said it shot down several Russian drones earlier in the week. In response, the alliance is beefing up its defences with a new operation dubbed Eastern Sentry, which aims to reinforce its eastern border with Belarus, Russia and Ukraine. The US has also vowed to defend every inch of NATO territory.
It shouldn't happen. I don't think anybody's happy about it happening. We saw NATO respond to it appropriately. We don't want to see it happen again. We think it's a unacceptable and unfortunate and dangerous development in this regard.
With tensions high, Poland's Lublin airport temporarily closed on Saturday after a drone alert was issued. Meanwhile, Russia and Belarus are pressing on with their joint operations near the Polish border. Known as Zapad 2, the two countries had already carried out similar exercises back in 2021, just months before Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine.
Okay. Next topic. Let's get to Nepal.
Welcome back. The majestic peak of Mount Everest is what often comes to mind when we think of Nepal, but this week was...
So apparently one of the big things that acted as a catalyst for the recent unrest amongst their younger generation, Gen Z, is they started to outlaw much of the internet, especially social media. And in this day and age, don't take internet away from Gen Z. There will be blood.
Streets of the capital Kathmandu convulsed with violence. Our Patrick Revel tonight reports.
We need our fucking TikTok and our brain rot.
Resentment of the country's younger citizens
Right now.
to the surface.
A fury has swept over Nepal. The country's parliament ablaze earlier this week as thousands of protesters stormed it, setting it and other government buildings on fire. It's being called a Gen Z revolution after thousands of infuriated young people poured into the streets at the start of the week. The immediate spark, a government ban on social media apps, including WhatsApp and YouTube. But that ignited deeper resentment over entrenched corruption and the luxurious lifestyle of Nepal's ruling elite, all while youth unemployment remains at around 20%.
All the Nepalese citizens are fed up of corruption. We need a new youth.
Dude, why don't they all just get a job?
New power and new politicians.
Well, you know what can actually help with finding work? The internet. I don't know. I don't think...
Sounds like some hippie bullshit to me, John.
Well, I guess if somebody makes a living online, it's technically not a real job.
On Monday, security forces opened fire on protesters in the capital, Kathmandu, killing at least 19.
So they were just protesting, but like government started violence, they started shooting the children in the school dress. It shouldn't be done.
The next day, Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli stepped down. Victorious protesters setting fire to his residence. Since then, Nepal's army has stepped in. Its chief calling...
Dude, look at how rowdy Gen Z is. You take their phones away, you take their Facebooks away, and then they just start lighting things on fire.
For talks. Today saw an uneasy calm in the capital, with troops on patrol and a curfew in place. Soldiers here telling a small crowd to disperse. Now protest groups are in talks with the army to appoint an interim leader for the country. Nepal's youth-led protests echo two other recent uprisings in South Asia. In neighbouring Bangladesh, unrest toppling the government last year. And in Sri Lanka in 2022. In both countries, discontent with ruling political dynasties and economic inequality boiling over. In Nepal, these families holding a vigil to commemorate their loved ones killed. At least 34 people died and nearly 1,400 were injured in the violence, according to Nepal's health ministry. The toll expected...
I don't know. There's 24 people that died here. That's like 24 more than Charlie Kirk.
to rise.
It's kind of odd that a lot of the people obsessing over...
said top right is a fucking cunt. Damn.
That's Kimberly.
Oh.
That was...
oh shit. Well,
Kimberly, how much do you hate the guy in the top left?
I like her.
I think I'm technically a millennial. I think millennial, like, I don't know, I'm a cusper. Millennials are, I think, 20 or 1996. That is the youngest millennial. So I was born in 95.
Young people here hoping a brighter future now lies ahead, but that's far from certain.
Thanks to Patrick Revolts.
Nepal.
But
right,
I don't have any
Kimberly,
issues.
Gene smells his own farts all the time.
What have I been saying this stream that equates to bragging or anything?
You're just a bit
it's just Kimberly fucking around in the chat, and we love her for it.
These are like some non sequitur sort of roasts. Yes, ban her.
Ban Kimberly Chameleon.
I'm gonna ban her forever.
But I love the internet. I don't have any issues with the internet, and I don't have any issues with Gen Z. I'm just making jokes.
Yeah.
I hate the boomers because they're a bunch of Luddites.
Really great.
Those dumb fucks don't know how to actually adapt to new technology. New technology is evil because it's new.
Pushed to the brink.
Whoa, hold on.
He got the dude.
Go back to that guy getting
water
sprayed.
Cannon?
What the fuck? You went back like 10 minutes early. Oh, whoa, okay. Hold on. We gotta watch that again.
Wait, the guy in the upper right is handsome but dumb.
Well, that I can agree with. You are a cutie, but you're stupid as shit.
Dude, what's dumb about what I'm saying? Jeez.
Just take the backhanded.
I would like some constructive criticism here.
Dumber than dog shit.
A nation in flames. The ruling elite brought to its knees by Gen Z.
They want to see meaningful change, and they say they won't stop until they get it.
Look, Gen Z, they don't even need firearms or explosives to topple the government.
It took just 48 hours. So how and why did it unravel so fast?
The protests that brought these buildings down and brought Nepal's government down did start peacefully. Thousands of young people taking to the streets wanting to be heard.
The trigger? A ban on social media platforms. The fuel? Something far deeper. Outrage against corruption, nepotism and inequality. But some would pay for their protest with their lives. First came the tear gas. Then water cannons. Then...
Jesus.
What the fuck? Every time I see that... Seems... Yeah, it looks like he got, did a backflip and went right into the concrete with his skull.
Well, most countries, they do use water cannons. I'm guessing they don't use it with this level of force because it seems like that could easily kill somebody.
Yeah.
Easily could snap his fucking neck flying backwards like that.
That was crazy.
We don't always see...
Police opening...
what happens with these water cannons. Yeah, they'll take your face off like a fucking pressure washer, dude.
Fire, killing.
But I'm sure they can actually adjust
the pressure,
like the actual force, the pressure.
Dozens of people. Sanjay got hit in 4 places. These are the rubber bullets that struck him.
I was hit suddenly. The bleeding was unstoppable. I was not able to stand on my feet. 2 friends held me up and put me in an ambulance. I was wearing a t-shirt and trousers, and they were soaked.
How do you feel towards the police?
If the police were more rational, this situation would not.
I don't know. I don't think police, the kind of people that typically become cops, they want to help the people. Do you think they're just being a bunch of spoiled brats?
Yeah, this guy's just a spoiled brat. Probably
People
lives
don't
in a
become
mansion.
well. People don't become cops just so they can have authority over other people because it's an easy power grab. People become cops because there's just that many
heroes.
altruistic people out there
They're
that
heroes.
want to serve.
When I worked security, let me tell you, the one thing we tried to watch out for and try to not have working for us was the like wannabe cop type of person. There were so many of those.
When are we going to have the RoboCops? There's one job that needs to be replaced with AI, the police work.
Our system wanted
Kimberly,
to suppress our
you're
voices.
so right.
They
The guy in the top left does eat ass.
did not need to fire.
In the middle of the chaos, school children fleeing in their uniforms. It was a shocking and sudden spiral. The injured carried away, bloodied, on bikes. It was out of control. By the evening, the Home Minister took responsibility for the deadly crackdown and stood down. The ban on social media apps was lifted. But that wasn't nearly enough to placate the rage already.
They're like, take your YouTube back. Please stop. Go home watch YouTube.
And have your cat videos.
Damn it, we get it.
And your Roblox.
By morning, Kathmandu started to burn.
There is officially a curfew in place here in Kathmandu, but just
Wonder what video games do you think are popular in Nepal? Google it. Look it up, Dirt.
look, there are hundreds of
I can look that up real quick.
Fortnite. They've been marching on Parliament. We've seen them setting fire to a police station. There is real anger in the air. Now, the Prime Minister has resigned, but it's not enough.
Of course, Overwatch.
Stream of people.
Overwatch?
Wait a second.
Never played it.
So, PUBG Mobile, Free Fire, a lot of free stuff in mobile games.
Well, I think
that's
that's
kind of
the
what I
case
expected.
in America as well, I think.
Yeah.
Like
That,
your sort
that
of
stuff
free
tends
games.
to get popular.
Yeah.
Political establishment in the firing line. Their homes torched. In one attack.
What are the top 10 most popular television series or streaming series in Nepal? And their top 10 most popular movies the last decade. Google it.
Here, keep it going. Keep it going. That's gonna take a minute.
Online, video circulated of helicopter evacuations. A government in retreat. The security forces and police nowhere to be seen. Symbols of wealth and power eviscerated. Hotels targeted in a city that depends on tourism.
But see, it's like one thing I love about the internet, it does bring the world together. And I look at them like they're Gen Z, they're my peeps. I don't care that they're from Nepal or some other like country. I can chat with them in like internet forums and so forth. And yeah, fuck the higher ups, give us
Not
the damn
me.
internet.
Not me. I'm not okay with anybody else but people in America.
Gen Zers and like I guess younger millennials, we identify more with our internet culture than we do with our nation's culture. Fuck borders. Demolish all the borders.
A fuse had been lit. Bottled up resentment bubbling over, fermented by high rates of youth unemployment.
People have deep concern about corruption in their country. They want to see meaningful change.
Sarah Fox, you're supposed to say verbally abusive things to me. You're not supposed to be saying nice things to me.
Yeah, Teddy. I mean, Sarah Fox.
Yeah.
Impatient, emboldened, infuriated.
This protest is not against the social media ban. This is against the big production that these ministers have done for the past decades.
Don't film me.
Our voice.
Don't look at me.
And
Stop flirting with
Shab.
me. What?
Hey, I felt cute. Might delete later.
Didn't I say don't do any of the accent jokes?
I'm sorry.
To be fair,
I don't remember you saying that.
This is what he's talking about. The seemingly lavish
He's the
lifestyle
one
that
that
the Falls
started
elite and their
it.
families.
Yeah, I was gonna say I started that.
Okay, well, that's it. Don't be a bad.
inspired.
Don't be a bad influence.
Yeah, he's a bad.
I'm being a bad influence on Shabisky, who's
Okay,
5
back
years
on
older
topic.
than me.
Their privileged lives set against the poverty of the Nepalis, shared under the hashtag #NepoKids. But on the ground, there was now jubilation.
This is Parliament House in Kathmandu, the centre of political power. And just look.
So we know that they've relied on arson, so pyrotactics. What else have they been utilizing? So in a lot of riots that we see across the globe, fireworks tend to be utilized. Seems like it's some very easily attainable sort of artillery or ballistics people can use. But do you think they've used vehicular sort of warfare? Truck ramming tactics?
I don't know.
I'm wondering
Killdozer?
Well, I'm wondering if just the police and stuff, they're okay, 26 people did die, but I'm guessing maybe they're just okay, whatever. We don't want to create too much of an incident by gunning down too many. We can't gun down all of the youth throughout the country. You need to change our adult diapers.
Run by protesters. They are screaming revolution. They believe they're on the cusp of major change in their country, and they have set fire to part of the building.
The very engine of government was under siege.
Things have shifted quite fast here. Protesters have now stormed into Parliament House. You can see them making their way up the stairs, and they're trying to take away or destroy what little is left here. There's the thud of things crashing around, broken glass all over the floor, and fires too. They want to make clearly the biggest possible statement they can.
They emerged, gleefully clutching mementos, claiming victory.
Okay, so do you think we're being hypocritical where the January 6th rioters, we look down at them for raiding the Capitol? Why is it okay for them to raid the Capitol?
Because they took away their YouTube. And that's a
Fair point.
That's a call.
Well, I do agree. Okay, to be fair, I would be raiding some capitals in Minecraft if they took away my internet.
Yeah.
By daybreak, though.
But by the way, so I've been playing around with OpenAI, ChatGPT on the topic of movies and TV shows from Nepal, and
okay, when you're looking up some very
it gave me a top 10.
If you're looking up some very rudimentary and bipartisan information, such as movie sort of stats, you're an idiot for trusting AI. Because clearly,
right,
AI can be wrong, therefore it is.
Stop being mean, Gene. God, you're so mean, right, dude?
Go ahead, let's hear it.
Well, I mean, it was just that the top 10 were all literally made in Nepal and in their language. The only one from outside of Nepal was Avatar: The Way of Water. For some reason, that was really popular there.
No, but I want to know, what are some Nepal sort of movies and shows? What's the number one?
I mean, all of them are. It's not even in English.
Oh,
try to pronounce it.
Best you
can. Well, if I can get it to translate here into English characters.
It's really interesting. Kathmandu feels totally different this morning. We've seen lots of military vehicles.
By the way, apparently there is a Nepal Idol and a Shark Tank Nepal.
Well, every country seems to have its version of They Got Talent or whatever. Indonesia's Got Talent. Singaporean Idol.
Residents behind them. Yesterday, protesters were able to storm inside and set fire to it, and the army, well, they did nothing. Now they're vowing to take things under control.
But this was a country without a leader and with very few places left to work.
This feels totally surreal. I'm inside
I want a
Parliament
cool
House.
gun like that.
Destruction everywhere. We were here as hundreds of protesters stormed inside yesterday, and you've got filing cabinets, photos, everything completely burnt to a crisp. And when you look at this scale of destruction, you just
see, look at this is what the smartphone generation is all about. Take their fucking phones away. And they just had meltdowns.
Left wondering, will this actually set back the cause of Gen Z, and might we see more violence in the days to come?
The Gen Z
Here we go. I've got the English Wikipedia page. Sarangi, A Journey of Purna Badahar, a drama film.
Okay, send me, just DM me the titles, and I'm going to look up some trailers.
Not to act violently. Some of those who returned to clear up the mess said their cause was hijacked.
Here, I'll send you the first trailer just to get us going, and then
everything turned into violence, everything turned into negativity. This is not what we wanted. I don't think any of the people standing here wanted this, but this happened. Now we have to get back, we have to work hard, now we have to clean our city, we have to clean the country, we want a new Nepal. That is all what we all are here for.
Here, the first trailer's coming at you now.
It was clear. Things were...
Okay. Let's check this out.
And I'm sending you a screenshot with a list of...
Maybe we need to do a movie night
titles.
and watch some...
Nepalese film night.
Yes. Okay, I need to make sure we don't trigger any copyright, so I'm going to play it at 2 times speed. And,
Kimberly's favorite.
Oh, no. See, everything's supposed to be in English. Why is the world so unaccommodating to us?
Look, that was English. How about that? You talk all that shit and then you're hit with some English.
Now, recently in India, I saw this one movie. It's called The Gangs of Wetsapur or whatever. Hard to pronounce. I don't speak Hindi, but it was pretty good. It was like released on like TV and it was like a 2-part series, but the film itself is like 3-4 hours in length. And it's kind of like India's City of God. Okay. It's kind of hard to get the context here, but I'm guessing if we have some subtitles, probably would be a decent watch.
Can you change
maybe
the
we need to do
language
that
on the ones down there?
Okay, for the patrons, maybe every week we need to watch a movie from one of the countries that like we cover that week. Okay, but anyway.
Still fragile.
Get back to Gen Z.
Signs of where the unrest spread. There's a Hilton Hotel at the end. That is smouldering. This is a jail. And on this van are prisoners who tried to escape during the protests. They're now being put on these vans.
Gina's right again. Yes. About whatever I was right about.
Music to his ears.
Another win for Gene.
It got in Kathmandu.
Now starts the repair work. And Gen Z has found an unexpected seat at the table in talks with the
Genes, we did it.
Nepal.
See, they worship Gene in this country.
See, now that I'm like
they just can't spell it right.
Well, now that I'm advocating for their media, see, now I'm idolized there.
Whatever happens next, whatever shape this country's leadership takes, this protest showed the
We will soon be the top podcast for Nepal.
In just 2 days, they managed to topple a government.
Now, isn't the Dalai Lama, aren't they currently residing in Nepal because they fled Tibet, which is occupied by China, because Chinese government, they were actually trying to apprehend him because they want to control their like Buddhist population in Tibet. Because Tibet wasn't part of China until the 50s when they decided to go in and annex them.
Wiping out the ruling elite.
Of course, it's often easier to tear things down than rebuild them, but Gen Z does have momentum. The question is whether they have the skill and support to change the political landscape.
Okay, they didn't give us a lot of insight on what's going on here. I guess their new prime minister there.
A sense of calm on the streets of Kathmandu on Sunday after days of deadly protests that toppled Nepal's government and saw the appointment of its first female prime minister. The latest figures from the health ministry show at least 72 people dead and 2,113 injured in what was Nepal's worst unrest in decades. Largely organized through social media, the demonstrations were fueled by anger over corruption and
So, who exactly are the victims here? Is it mostly the protesters being killed by government officials, or were there some government officials that died? Because they have established that 24, 27 of the deaths are like citizens as opposed to civil servants.
Equality.
I forget the man's position, but Danny showed me a video of some guy. I think he was like a financial. I forget what the term is. He was like an economy guy, but he was literally being marched through a river in his underwear. I don't know what his fate was, but they were chasing him, throwing shit at him, and he was running through a river. And it's the video I saw. I don't know if he made it.
And was he like officer, or was he a civilian?
He was a political official that dealt with the economics, how things are run economically.
Okay, well, again, two wrongs don't make a right. Just put him in some stockade and then, I don't know, pour a bunch of olive oil over him and
what if
him
he
with
just
tomatoes.
Marched him through the river in his underwear? What if he survived?
Yeah,
okay.
Do some sort of like public humiliation. Don't subject them to the murders.
Residences of political leaders targeted. But for Gen Z activists like 18-year-old Sajini Gurung, there is now a sense of optimism.
It feels very wonderful. Yes, we have achieved just in 2 days. This revelation was, I guess, will live in the history, and it was really good thing that we have did.
So, going forward, what do you want in the future?
Going forward, I want my Nepal, my country to be corruptionless and very does not have any opportunity. We did had a lack of opportunity.
The Gen Z movement had gained traction in Nepal in recent months. That was driven by posts.
Now, apparently, Nepal is one of the only countries that wasn't colonized by European power. So, yeah, Thailand, Liberia, Ethiopia. They're some of the only countries that weren't colonized. China, you could argue that they weren't, but they kind of were. They were pretty much a satellite state.
Showing Nepo babies, the children of Nepalese politicians, enjoying expensive vacations and designer lifestyles.
Wait, is that the... From, what is it, One Piece?
Politicians enjoying
is that like the One Piece, like,
expensive vacations and designer lifestyles. But it was a government decision to ban social media that then spectacularly...
never mind, I don't like Nepal anymore.
Fired, triggering an unprecedented outpouring of anger among the youth. 19-year-old Pradeep Mangal described how activists then used VPNs, virtual private networks, to bypass the social media ban.
See, look, Gen Z internet culture. It's making it so, you know what, we're all one culture, unlike all the old fucks that want to be all nationalistic. See the red hair dye? Zoomer internet culture leaving its mark.
Fucking media ban.
liberal.
Central to the process was a former DJ and his previously obscure non-profit. Sudan Gurung, founder of Hami Nepal, or We Are Nepal, used Instagram and the Discord app, popular among gamers, to issue calls to action that the group says reached tens of thousands. Hami Nepal's early social media posts on Discord became so influential that they were referenced on national television. As protests grew violent, the group also identified messages it termed fake news and shared hospital phone numbers. Hami Nepal members, who asked not to be identified for security reasons, said Gurung and the group's other leaders have since become central to high-stakes decisions. That includes the appointment of Nepal's interim leadership until new elections are held on March the 5th.
Nepal finds new calm this weekend with the appointment of a temporary leader following an extraordinary week of violence. The death toll now stands at over 70 after anti-corruption protests led to police clashes and a host of buildings in the capital being set aflame. An interim prime minister is in place today asking for people to come together. New elections are expected to be held in March, but key issues like unemployment and inflation that drove the protests remain unaddressed. Earlier, I spoke with...
Inflation, do you think, I don't know, maybe the tariffs have something to do with that? Because I know they are causing a lot of inflation in India. So, like I said, Trump is fucking with the global economy.
Alex Trovelli.
You know what? They need to come here and help us riot against Trump.
No, you mean they need to help us improve our economy. That's what you meant.
Yeah, yes, that in Minecraft.
One and the same.
The New York Times.
I'm joking. Any sort of government officials that are watching.
In Kathmandu,
Yeah, January 6th is coming back
The
around
capital
soon.
of Nepal, Kathmandu,
We're gonna have
is
a
actually
January
rather
6th
quiet now, and it looks normal in a lot of respects. There's still a large military presence on the street.
But if anybody from Nepal is watching, let me know if you would love to overthrow Trump.
But they're not blocking traffic. There are a lot of burned out buildings. So if you're looking at the old halls of power, it's like a disaster swept through town. In fact, a few of them are still even on fire. But I would have to say that traffic, business, civilian life is carrying on almost as if it were an ordinary time in Nepal, which it very much is not.
This is a historic time, and it seems like the protests evolved in part because of the bans of some social media platforms, but there also seem to be a lot more deeper issues there. Can you help us understand how this all evolved?
Yeah, it's becoming clearer and clearer, Lisa, that the social media ban, which was the proximate cause or the trigger for the protests, it was a small part of a great big angry whole. It was Monday of this past week that mostly young people took to the streets in great numbers. And you could see already on the banners and placards they were carrying, it's much more about entrenched problems that Nepal faces, political problems, corruption, a culture of impunity, and there was a vast amount of anger. And then that all changed on Monday itself.
They're all fucking pissed off because they can't watch Shabisky streams.
There any country that isn't fucking
PPP.
corrupt to the core? Yeah. Well, no, they were able to vest the government here and get their internet back, so now they're able to watch wonderful folks like us.
Yeah, that's why the
Their
stream did
fellow
so well
Gen
tonight.
Zers.
That's why the stream did so
When
well
armed police
tonight. That one night where it
started
did
firing
really
into crowds.
bad, that was when they were fighting. They're like, fucking, hey, we can't watch PPP. This is... No!
It's just a tug of war.
Wait, somebody said American youth would never get that mad. They just get sad. Hey, we just covered
Hey,
a
they'll
dude
get that
who
mad, but they will never overcome the laziness. Sorry,
Dude.
go on, John.
Have you paid attention to American violence stuff? Like kids in America get mad and do some shootings all the time.
Yeah, shootings
Kids in America
happen
love
very
violence.
regularly.
We're the kids in America. Ba-da-da-da-da.
Hey, no, that's cringe. Bad.
Yeah, what a dork.
And then there's an entire new cause for
What a
outrage.
hippie.
What has day-to-day life been like for the young people, especially those leading this protest?
So life in Nepal is very tough for young people, and often these are young people who've invested a lot of time and a lot of their family savings in education. One of the surest signs of this economic crisis is the number of young Nepalis who have to leave the country in order to find employment. This is often for menial jobs in the Gulf or in Malaysia. It's not that these are young people who necessarily want to leave Nepal, but almost 2,000 do leave every day. There's, by some estimate, half of the country's families depend on income being sent by Nepalis working abroad. This is a desperate situation, and it's not one that young people want to put up with forever.
Can you tell us about the new interim prime minister and why it was that young people in particular wanted her in the job?
Yeah, it's very hard to get a grasp on really what the young people want, mainly because we don't really know who they are. It's a leaderless movement, or that's how it began. And we do know that members of that leadership, however they were chosen, were talking to her. Her name is Sushila Karki, and she came out as the favored candidate. No, she's a former Chief Justice of Nepal, in fact, the country's first female Chief Justice, and a jurist by training, so interested in constitution.
So she's a Chief Justice. I'm guessing they have a Supreme Court, so she would have been the head of their Supreme Court.
Matters, not especially beholden to any of the big political parties, and a satisfying choice, if there had to be one, for a caretaker prime minister.
Can you help us understand Nepal's role in the region and whether these protests have any wider influence as well? It's a small country, but where does it sit in terms of its importance?
It may be too soon to tell, but Nepal sits between China and India, the biggest countries in the world. The United States, of course, takes a keen interest also in Nepali affairs. In recent years, as China's political and economic power have grown, it's become a more important rival with India for influence in the region. Each of these giant countries has its favorite political parties within the old political order of Nepal. Now that political order as a whole seems to have collapsed, it looks suddenly like a clear board in which these 2-3 big countries are going to start competing again.
What comes next? We expect elections in 6 months. Do you think that is the way out of this crisis?
What's clear is that it's going to be a very difficult path forward. There's no period of time in which you could say, we know how Nepal is going to replace its established political parties. Or the parties themselves perhaps will stick around, but they'll figure out a way to...
Now, how many political parties do they have? I mean,
One.
Well, they said parties, plural, so I'm guessing they're not like China, where China has
2.
one party. I don't know. Hopefully they don't just have 2. There's this other country, America, where they're a 2-party system and doesn't really work out that well.
It's fucking lame.
Creates a lot of division. Bunch of black and white, political team sports.
Yeah, and a bunch of people that don't.
These are scenes from protests.
Because I think it's
in
one
Nepal,
or the
Bangladesh,
other. That's all it is.
and Sri Lanka. Each of these protest movements began because of a specific grievance that flared up, ending in the rejection of the government or its leaders. The protests are often led by young people and have sparked deadly violence. So what happened in each of these protests, and do they reveal the instability of South Asia right now? The protests in Nepal were ignited by the government's ban on major social media platforms. Many people were particularly angry that the children of political leaders seemed to enjoy a lavish lifestyle, while most of the population was dealing with rising unemployment and widespread corruption. The unrest left at least 19 people dead and forced the Prime Minister to resign. In Bangladesh, student-led protests started with anger against the rules that limited the number of civil service jobs based on merit last year. The protests culminated in the ousting of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, and hundreds of people were killed. In Sri Lanka, severe economic crisis fueled protests that forced the powerful Rajapaksa clan out in 2022. These movements have also rocked other nations in the region and left behind worsening law and order situations.
We've heard that the body is in the hospital morgue, but no one has confirmed that, nor what condition or shape the body is in. We've not even been able to see the body. We demand the government to address our concern as soon as possible.
Well, I guess, looks like we've run out of things to say here.
James.
Next story. What's that?
Never mind.
What?
Well, the thing I sent you about the Charlie Kirk thing, we still never cut.
Well, we already passed the Charlie Kirk nonsense.
I sent you some.
Is it, well, Shabisky messaged me, like, what was it?
It was a stupid chick that went to a coffee shop and she wanted Charlie Kirk on her coffee cup, and they wouldn't do it because they don't do political stuff. And so she's trying to cancel Starbucks because of it, and she made a video of it and everything. But it goes to show how, like, and her whole, like, tweet about it has like a crazy amount of likes and everything, and it goes to show how stupid some fucking people on the right are. It's like, holy shit, you really think fucking Starbucks should be like advocating any sort of political stuff? You think it's fucked up for them to stay out of that, kind of how they did with the holiday stuff? Instead of saying Merry Christmas, doing Happy Holidays, so it's inclusive and it's universal and it's not siding with anybody. Like, it's a fucking coffee shop, fucking idiots.
First world problems, am I right?
Like, yeah, that sounds so dumb that we shouldn't even dignify it by going back to that topic for it.
You're gay, okay?
Oh,
I am
Taylor
gay.
really wants me to go to bed.
No, we need to keep going. Okay, the hippie wants us to. I forget we had two long-haired hippies on here.
Okay, so
yeah, you did. 3.
Oh,
so
yeah.
China, shut up. China has laid claim to the South Chinese Sea, which is in international waters. And when the UN was established, it's a certain amount of nautical miles off a country's coastline. And so China, they tried to exploit some kind of loophole, and you know what that is?
Are they're going to save the coral reef?
No, they built fake they built artificial islands.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, and because of that, they've pissed off a lot of their neighbors, and they're trying to bully other countries who are engaging in any sort of trade engaging in any sort of fishing practices or maritime practices within the South Chinese Sea. So, got more of this drama here.
We fishermen will suffer losses if they push through with building in the shoal. We will have a hard time fishing since China is asserting ownership, even if it doesn't belong to China.
Now, China makes the argument that it should belong to them because it traditionally was a region that was associated with their nation. But if that's the case, are they going to give Inner Mongolia back to Mongolia? Are they going to give Tibet or grant it its independence? And are they going to allow East Turkestan to secede? Because East Turkestan, Tibet, and Inner Mongolia were not part of China. until the 50s when Mao decided to go in and annex them.
I'm really curious. Does anybody have any clue why their boats have those kind of things on each side? I'm curious what those are exactly for.
The railing that sticks out.
Yeah, on each. It's a popular thing here. I keep seeing.
I'm guessing it's for fishing.
I would
Yeah,
assume
it's
too,
usually.
But what exactly? I don't know.
Well, it might contain or carry the net, so the net might be under there.
Or maybe they use it. Yeah,
It has a big effect on us.
that. Yeah.
Why would they build there? It belongs to the Philippines, not to them. Chances are, it will be even harder to enter. At this point, they haven't even started building. Yet there has been harassment going on. What more when they start building there? We will be...
So, do you think... What's that?
Never mind. What are you going to say? They seem like they're getting
somebody
too close.
Somebody said fishing nets. Yep.
Seems like it makes sense, yeah. Okay.
God, Shab, how did you not know that?
Yeah, how do you not know that? How do you not know that trivial thing? Most people probably don't know it. Aw. Wow. Oh shit, they're getting all wet.
Damn. That's not good diplomacy. Poor social skills.
What?
See, at least Nepal's government only like hoses down its own people. Look at China spraying down like people of like other states.
Why are they doing that? That's rude. That's bad social skills, Gene.
I already made that joke. Fucking conformist. Yeah,
I didn't even know there was boats
China,
that
they're
sprayed
a bunch
water
of
on other
tyrants. I
boats.
mean, America, we only support ethical states like Israel.
Spraying water on other boats seems funny. You could just dunk their boat. Dude, fill it up enough, you know, right?
Well, I don't think they're trying to
I know, but it
like,
seems like a funny tactic for a boat attacking another.
well, what they're doing is they can't really like carry out their job. They can't really engage in like fishing or whatever while they're doing this. So it's just a way to, I guess, impede on what their intended goal is.
This is like whale wars all over again.
El Salvador, February 2023. Cameras roll as thousands of shirtless men, shackled, heads bowed, march into a brand new mega prison. The terrorism confined.
Dude, remember, I'm thinking we should redo our episode on the world's worst prisons. Yeah, the Canduro prison in Brazil, which pretty fucked up, but a lot of the imagery we're seeing here does remind me of that.
Center.
Yeah, right off the bat,
just
reminded
like
me of that episode.
Giant arrays of fucking human skin.
Its master,
Very lit
President
up.
Nayib Bukele, the self-styled world's coolest dictator who has waged war on gangs that have plagued the country for decades, using mass arrests and brutal incarceration.
Jesus.
Once the murder capital of the world, El Salvador is now one of the safest countries in the Americas. But critics say this comes at a price. Thousands jailed without due process, allegations of torture, and power concentrated.
Now, again, don't you think if they just decriminalized drugs, they wouldn't deal with inflated prisons? Same thing with like all the countries in the Americas.
You
the
liberals
US, Brazil.
think all the same, okay? No. If we legalize drugs, there'd be more people committing crimes and such. Okay? It doesn't take a smart person to realize
Well,
that.
if people can sell it legally and it creates jobs, so more people are able to make like earn a legal source of revenue.
So you want us to sell drugs to help the economy? What a fucking libtard decision!
Well,
I've
there. Heard that.
Let's all sell meth to the kids so we can help the economy. Goddamn liberals, you're all the same.
I mean, Adderall. We do pretty much sell meth to kids. It's okay for kids to take meth. Why can't adults? Well, I mean, Adderall's like clean meth, so why can't adults take clean coke?
In one man's hands. This is the story of El Salvador's brutal
John Morgan, the #1 cocaine advocate in America.
Safety Bukele delivered could come at a dangerous cost.
I mean, seriously, like the fentanyl crisis, they're talking about how, oh, immigration, them smuggling all the drugs into the country. It's like, well, if people could get the drugs legally, then they wouldn't be getting drugs that are laced and contaminated with fentanyl.
See, you're thinking about serious things that matter. I'm thinking about how badly I wish we had the budget to recreate the end of Scarface, but with Gene as Tony Montana.
Dude,
A small
Gene,
country of about 6 million.
Let's use a bunch of your money to do that. That sounds like a good idea. I'm glad you have a bunch of money.
Didn't you say Danny had a dream where I was like some kind of crime boss?
She did.
Oh, yeah.
She woke up one morning and was telling me about how, and this was years ago, and she's like, oh yeah, John was on the cover of a newspaper for like you were described as a crime boss and you were bald. That was a detail.
Yeah, it turns out it's just a wig this whole time.
Yeah.
I'm just like Walter White.
Yeah, it might have been the connotation there.
I'll be like Walter White, but instead of meth, it's coke.
People in the Americas is the murder capital of the world.
Somebody clip that. Somebody clip that.
Homicides per 100,000 people. Entire neighborhoods are controlled by gangs like MS-13 and Barrio 18. Extortion, kidnappings, and killings are a daily reality.
Gene is a dirty drug addict. Now excuse me while I take this dab.
They said MS-13 isn't the person that got like shipped out of America. One of the reasons he has MS-13 on his knuckles.
Well, they're claiming that hey, the people in question, they have tattoos and they speak Spanish, or they're like, a lot of times they're not even like immigrants. Are natural born citizens, but the logic is like, hey, they are a non-white American who's associated with some kind of Hispanic like lineage or ethnicity, and they got tattoos. Therefore, they must be part of a gang.
The murder rates plunge, halving in just 3 years.
One theory is that the previous government was beginning to talk to gang leaders to find some sort of modus vivendi with these groups that would allow them to bring homicide rates lower while leaving the gangs with significant political power.
While homicides fell, gangs still ruled. Enter Nayib Bukele, a young mayor turned political outsider with giant ambitions.
He was a former mayor of San Salvador. He'd had some success there increasing security, and he presented himself as a breath of fresh air. Bukele's background is in marketing. He has a really refined sense of how to present himself. He's obviously incredibly social media savvy. Since the civil war in El Salvador, there have been two parties. Both have become mired in corruption. This idea that the political system is not delivering for people.
I'm wondering if there's any Asian American citizens, even if they're not Japanese, watch them like start deporting Asian American citizens because they have tattoos, and it's like, oh, they must be part of the Yakuza.
To tap into that, then in 2019, a key part of his message was, we can return Salvador to normality.
Bukele's election was a shock to the political establishment. He used his first term to amass more and more power. But true to his word, his territorial control plan sees killings in the country continue to fall. El Salvador felt at its safest for decades. But in 2020...
Now, like in the Philippines, their drug war, Duterte, who's no longer their president, which I'm shocked that he actually didn't keep power. I know he fled, so now one of the Marcos is like the president, but we were covering that a few years back, and the cages, of course, nobody could sit down. They look like sardine cans. But he gets up to like on the lectern in front of a crowd, and he's like, if you do drugs, I kill you. Maybe that's just what we need to do. So to deal with the
advocate for like the death penalty for people that it was something along.
If you smoke weed, I kill you.
No, it's drug dealers or something like that. I don't know. There's something that he did like that. I could have swore. It's always over the top and stupid. Like, I fucking really hate how he is pushing against the idea, or pushing towards like people should be arrested or their citizenship taken away. I remember he tweeted that a long time ago for burning the American flag. That shit's so fucking stupid for our own president to be trying to advocate for such anti-constitutional stuff. It's disgusting. It's stupid, and it's stupid that we have a bunch of people that don't have a huge problem with him doing that. They should have a huge problem with that.
They're unpatriotic, Shad.
If they're truly, yeah, that's my point too. If they're truly fucking patriotic, they should be strongly against that, because it's freedom of speech, freedom of expression. I could buy 1,000 flags tomorrow and have them sent to my house, and I should be able to burn every fucking last one of them because they're my
After
flags.
pissing on them.
And the thing
sure.
is, they are stupid because they don't understand that being able to just burn the flags of your country, that's a sign that, yeah, we do live in a country that adheres to freedom of speech. You don't have to worry about burning like images of like certain politicians. You don't have to worry about like defacing anything that has any sort of like political sort of symbols or associate.
The freedom of speech and expression is there mostly to protect speech and expressions that people don't like. You know, that's what it's there for. Like, and that's because it's a two-way street. Like, in America, there's gonna be people thinking all sorts of disgusting things that you don't agree with, and you should be like, you should not only like, you should want to fight for their right to say those things, because that's part of what makes this country great. People can have horrible beliefs, and they don't need to fucking keep silent about it. They can say what they think.
I agree with freedom of speech, just as long as nobody says anything I disagree with.
22.
That's why when people say things I disagree with, it's okay for me to throw tantrums and yell and scream at them on the top of my lungs, because, yeah, it's America.
A single weekend.
Because when I get mad and rage out at people when they disagree with me, that's a sign that, yeah, I really do respect freedom of speech. It's not just confirmation bias and like self-pandering of like, they need to shut up, they don't know what they're talking about.
Changed everything.
An increased army presence on the streets in El Salvador, an immediate reaction to a bloody weekend. 62 homicides on Saturday, the most in one single day in more than 20 years.
March 2022, a weekend of gang violence leaves 87 dead, shattering El Salvador's fragile sense of safety.
Bukele initiated a state of emergency. There was the removal of habeas corpus, the ability for the military to conduct policing operations, to round up anyone even suspected of being a gang leader and imprison them.
It was meant to be about 30 days. It's been systematically extended.
Habeas corpus, something that countries still abide by?
And every
on paper.
Yeah. Well, it's just, is it even some kind of like international sort of legislation?
Since that,
I mean, I know there's like the Geneva Convention and so forth. Maybe it is.
In just a few years, over 75,000 people are detained, including thousands of minors. Mass trials see up to 900 defendants at once, and gang sentences stretch to 60 years. 2% of the entire population is now behind.
Trials of 900 people at a time. That's fucking nuts.
Doesn't this make you think of the human centipede?
Bars.
Yeah, that's brutal. That's the human amoeba.
Jesus. What if, like, instead of sewing them, like, ass to mouth, they, like, sew them, like, you know, just, like, belly button to back or whatever? They kind of, like,
shoulder to shoulder.
They force them to have some kind of, like, I don't know, shared colostomy bag or something.
Pele turned to his boldest
project yet. Conjoined human.
Was that something like Dr. Mendele? Who was like the Nazi doctor who liked experimenting on twins. One of the things he would do is he would sew twins together, or identical twins together.
Is that where you get it from? Your inspiration, Joe?
Well, I'm sorry that Something like that makes me think of the human centipede, and human centipede makes me think of people being sewn together.
Mega prison. This is the terrorism confinement
Dude, shut the fuck up. You're thinking of the same thing.
center, CCOT, opened in 2023 to hold El Salvador's most feared gang members and send a message far beyond its borders.
Often these authoritarians have terrible prisons. It's a sort of dirty secret. Bukele is rather the opposite, with these slickly produced videos
with men who are completely tattooed all the way up.
Why does he do that? Because he thinks this is a simple battle.
It's billed as the model prison, where the worst of the Salvadoran gangs are being housed.
CCOT holds 40,000 inmates, the largest prison in the Americas.
Wait, so, like, the United States, when it comes to, our stance on crime and stuff, especially drug crimes, Trump talking about how he wants to give people life in prison or whatever for, like, selling drugs. What if instead we go the Russia route, which they don't do this anymore, but one thing Russia used to do is they would banish people to Siberia. Siberia is, like, Eastern Asian, part of Russia that's pretty much desolate, bunch of tundra. What if we just start banishing people to Alaska? I don't know. Not that many people live in Alaska, and is it not Juneau, Alaska? It's I know that's their capital. Anchorage, Alaska. Is that the one that, like, their most heavily populated city? Maybe it's just don't allow them to go there and just banish them to all the other parts of Alaska, and there you go.
Juneau.
256.
Put them out in Juneau, dude.
Well, Juneau's their capital, so
yeah, exactly, and it needs to have a little more.
Okay,
it needs to be more developed than Anchorage, right? So we'll send all the criminals there.
I know Borough, Alaska. That's
couple
the most
generations.
northern.
It'll be our Australia.
You know what? Trump is like, hey, Canada, they need to, we're going to annex them. It's same thing with Greenland, crucial to our national security. Maybe we can make a deal. Just Canada can give us the northern territories, and we can just start banishing them there.
Cells crammed with at least 90 prisoners, less than a square meter each, and below Red Cross guidelines. Bunks are bare metal sheets shared between inmates, and each cell has just 2 toilets, no walls, no doors, no privacy, all under harsh artificial light.
Now, the prisons from Brazil, they didn't even have toilets. It was just a dark room, like cement room with, there was one little, like, sort of concave with a sheet, and it was a bucket. And it was something like 20 people to one dark room and a bucket. They didn't even have any beds.
That never turns off, while guards watch from above through a steel mesh ceiling.
Bukele is completely unapologetic about all this, but of course, what he's doing is deeply controversial.
NGOs have reported over 300 deaths in the Salvadoran prison system. Instances of torture, of being beaten by guards, of being, in some cases, sexually abused by guards.
Tens of thousands of.
Jeez, look at how backwards they are. It's not like you don't see us torturing people in prison.
Never happens.
Wait, isn't solitary confinement considered to be torture by the UN?
Look at all these.
That's
cops.
the UN. They don't count.
All these cops are covered up like they're gonna rob the place. They got ski masks and shit.
Yeah.
Every last one of them.
To be fair, you don't want to be recognized by one of these dudes on the outside if they ever do manage to
Yeah,
escape.
I get that makes sense. I guess. Yeah, it's a crazy
Okay, Shad,
gang.
did you really need to ask or why, or need to explain why they're concealing their identities?
Dude, I'll fuck you right in the ass, Jane. You don't have to be rude about it. Okay?
I'll climb right from my panel over to yours, and it's on.
Dude.
They don't have lawyers.
It's gonna be like the ring.
Communication.
Despite this, Bukele's popularity has soared.
There was another election last year when he got more than 80% of the vote. That was.
Do you think he actually was that popular, or do you think some ballot stuffing going on?
Genuine displays of popularity.
People are able to walk down the street at night freely for the first time in their lives. You can't really undersell that.
But that safety has come with a price. Unprecedented power concentrated in one man's hands. And now, his model is gaining admirers far beyond El Salvador's borders. Across Latin America, Bukele's playbook is spreading. This map highlights countries where political leaders have openly embraced elements of Bukele's security strategy.
Yes, totalitarianism. See? Look at how popular it is. Maybe Trump's onto something.
Something of a poster boy. The question is whether it can actually be mimicked elsewhere.
In Honduras, they launched
Who needs checks and balances?
another state of exception. Extortion went down a little bit, murders went down a little bit, but then yo-yoed right back up. And then in Ecuador, of course, Daniel Noboa declared a state of internal armed conflict against gangs. And similarly, we saw a moderate decline in homicide rates. That being said, I don't think that it's going away anytime soon in places like Peru, Chile.
I feel like I feel like the police force wearing that Call of Duty skull mask is a little much. I think, did you see that, John?
You want people to conform to some uniform? I mean, come on. Let people have a bit of flair. You're like that kind of person who you get all pissy over your one coworker wearing some kind of vibrant tie, multicolored tie.
You, dirt.
Yeah.
Bitch.
A lot of voters have.
A vibrant colored tie would be the weirdest thing to get angry about.
So pedantic.
Who does he think he is? We have a dress code here.
Dirt's so pedantic. He's a pedantic pedestrian.
He's just a killjoy.
Even Washington, normally quick to condemn abuses, has embraced Bukele as a partner.
Both countries.
Well, I think Trump would like to have the same kind of power that this guy has.
Are trying to use their relationship with one another as a means of signaling.
He's had no issue with allowing the United States to portray El Salvador and the Seacop prison as a hellhole, that immigrants could well end up there.
This facility is one of the tools in our toolkit that we will use.
Oh, there's Ice Barbie.
If you commit crimes against the American people.
Oh, I hate her. Can she just die? Does she not exist?
Nope.
I didn't say it.
Like, where are all the dogs? I don't see any dogs around.
Bukele has sort of tried to make himself a flag bearer for this. If he can lock in that relationship with the U.S., Bukele thinks that by 2028, he will be in a very firmly entrenched position to remain in power.
Bukele's success has cemented his authority, and with it, his grip on power. In 2024, he won a second term despite a constitutional ban, after a court pact with his allies cleared the way. By 2025, his party abolished term limits altogether, allowing him to run indefinitely. Opponents now warn that democracy in El Salvador is dead.
Well, hey, it seems like he's popular and people like him, so it's not like it's a very tenuous kind of situation or precarious situation where maybe they can be some kind of benevolent dictator, but what happens when they're succeeded by somebody who's less benevolent and there's no longer any checks and balances?
We've seen a remarkable decline in violence, but also a remarkable consolidation of Bukele's control over the Salvadoran state.
Total control of the Congress, complete.
See, but hey, he's able to abolish all that crime. People feel safe. So, see, some Supreme Court, some sort of legislative branch, like Congress or Parliament, that just gets in the way. There's too much bureaucratic hoopla. You just need one person and their cronies that have pretty much all the power, and they can bypass any sort of checks and balances, any sort of peer review process. And there you go. Look at how shit actually gets done.
Control of the courts. Politicians told me people might feel that their lives have been changed for the better. They don't have to fear the gangs anymore. But there might soon come a time when they fear their own government. If you have a really powerful and dangerous...
Now, in El Salvador, when people will, their citizens are okay, there is that benefit of not having to deal with the crime from the gangs. All the Americans that are anti-immigration, do you think crime is something they deal with? Or do you think they're spoiled pieces of shit and they could be actually dealing with some notable sort of dystopian sort of living conditions, and their big first world problem is sharing the block with some neighbors who are brown who speak a different language?
Yeah, but their neighbor was rude to them that one time, Jane.
No, Fox News talks about how there are all these immigrants stealing their jobs, even though if you ask them, how have you noticed any sort of effect or influence that any sort of illegal immigrants have had on your day-to-day life, they wouldn't be able to tell you.
Government that can do whatever it wants. How do you get out of that situation?
How do you get out of that situation, guys? I don't know.
Okay, so it's 4 o'clock. Taylor said that I need to get to bed, so we can blame Taylor. Do you think now would be a good time to stop?
No.
Let's see. Well,
No.
so is there anything that was on the docket to cover that we haven't gotten to yet? Like
Charlie
like
Kirk's
topic wise.
assassination, Russian drones.
Yep, we covered everything.
Yep, yeah, we did get through everything that we
We're supposed to
claimed that we
stream
wanted to
for
cover.
a long time, though, Gene. You're really slacking.
A long stream.
I've been
No,
all sick lately,
it hasn't
Shad.
been. Yeah, whatever. Stop being a little pussy about it, Gene.
I am taking time off of work to go to St. Louis, and the 19th in the morning, that's where I have my flight to St. Louis. So I can stay up all night tomorrow, and we can do a longer stream.
Wow.
And you guys have to hold me accountable. It's everyone else's fault if I don't follow through.
I'll accept that.
I don't.
Yes.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But we should be keeping going. You're slacking.
Oh, I don't know. I kind of like being more in the zone. I like having less fatigue, so that way I can give more I don't know, vigorous sort of dialogue.
What the fuck is a fatigue?
Wow, Shab. Here, I gotta play this.
Womp 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 womp.
Yeah.
Shut up, okay? You're not even smart or nothing. You just act like it, right, Dirt?
Yeah, he's cute, but he's dumb.
Yeah? The chat was right about you. You need to play more videos, Gene. We've only been streaming for 2 hours and 46 minutes. That's very little.
But it is 4 a.m.
You starting to piss? Gay one. Alright, I guess.
And how many subs did we gain?
If I was to guess, 40.
How many subscribers?
Getting about 50, maybe at most. I don't remember what we started with, but we did all right. Getting a little bit more people, like 30 to 50. We're in that range.
Okay. So we got to keep it up.
Saying? Yeah. Well, all right. I guess I'm just gonna go live on my channel. So I'll see you guys over on the Shabisky channel. Peace out, guys. You know what I am saying? Say peace out, Gene.